The world is in a greater peril from those who tolerate or encourage evil than from those who actually commit it. Good friend of the stream, Albert Einstein, referencing an interview he was summarizing of Pablo Casals. It's too brute. We've already gone over the insertion of Ian Kaczynski, currently known as Vaush, formerly known as Irishladdie, into the YouTube and Twitch sphere. In this section, I want to focus on how Ian chooses to operate in this space, and how the intentional mischaracterizations he makes of me are ultimately harmful to both me and the work that I do. While I repeatedly get characterized as being obsessed by both him and his community, Ian is easily the most prevalent puppet master of this narrative. There's nothing obsessive about covering some of the most popular political figures in this space making commentary about hot topic political issues. The only goal of framing criticisms in this light is to escape any and all responsibility for the things one says and give oneself a pass to endlessly attack the people covering you. It would be impossible for any mainstream figure like Sean Hannity or Tucker Carlson to start claiming that rival pundits are obsessive stalkers, and this situation is no different. Ian has always been someone who's been an extremist in his political ideals, even back in 2012, claiming that we ought to sacrifice intellectual honesty for the purpose of the progressive movement.
It would be detrimental in the sense that you wouldn't get the same frenzy, blind, anti-intellectual mob mentality following you, but it wouldn't be detrimental in serving a greater intellectual purpose to mankind, I think, in my opinion.
And that's your opinion. And look, ideologically, I would like nothing more than for us to be able to frankly and candidly discuss all issues with nothing more than the sincerest of intellectual honesty. The only problem is, and I said the same thing about discussing differences about races and genders, so this is something we're going to have to agree to disagree with. Okay. Sometimes, if intellectual honesty is the cost of a successful improvement of the state of humanity, then sometimes that just has to be made. And
he's also caused some conservative members of my community, namely XSkillsMe, to leave after making multiple overtures advocating violence against conservatives. This is stuff that he said, I think, on stream and in my...
I think this is actually a pretty astute comparison. I'm a leftist. I'm a communist. I believe that the property rights of the wealthy should not be respected. I feel that their assets should be seized from them, and that many of them should be executed for crimes against the workers of this country. That, if I go up on stage and I express these views,
just to be clear, that's a pretty hardline communist stance. I don't
ideology. I know you're a capitalist.
You know, I have an interesting mention from you where you say that I have all of the bullet attracting characteristics of a human. Do you remember saying that about me?
Yes, I stand by.
To be clear, yeah. So to be clear, as chat, Irishladdie has basically said he would give me the bullet in his real world. So while he's here whining about me dialoguing, treating him, we're coming into this with him basically saying he would kill me under his political system.
Okay, okay. All right, okay. For one, I didn't say I would do it. I'm lazy, okay? Let's not assign that responsibility to me. But would you be killed generally? Ooh, I don't know. You make a solid case every time you open your mouth. Yeah, I'm not ashamed of that statement at all.
Right, but just working every day and you have me killed and other people like me. So
whoa. Okay, like for real, you realize, like, memes aside, you aren't in the demographic that would be like killed, right? You do realize that.
Damn, you're not enough of a capitalist.
Yeah, no. You told me. I mean, I hope.
Yeah, no. Like, I keep saying this. I don't know why. For you, XSkillsMe, it would be a matter of pleasure. But for other people,
why do you keep joking like that when he keeps railing you for it? Has anyone here ever actually wanted to, you know, do a terrorism against groups like that? No meme. Not going to elaborate anything. I don't know, I just wish neo-Nazis were more scared for their life. Maybe just a backpack left at a rally. You know, a classic. It'd only take one bombing to throw the entire alt-right into chaos. Can you imagine TD and 8chan? If a Nazi rally was bombed, holy fuck. The salt alone would ethically justify the deaths of many people. Thank you, Jen. And I mean, hopefully the culprit wouldn't be found. God, I can't believe Nazis can just congregate and nobody's doing anything drastic. A few hundred dudes in a crowd chanting blood and soil, a single bomb or a well-timed burst of rifle fire could really make racists afraid again. Remind them that they're alone and in peril. Keep in mind, in the United States of America, you do have a First Amendment right, even if you are a Nazi, to go and march up and down whatever streets you want. It used to be a right that we cherished in this country. Also, the scary thing about comments like this are, I'm pretty sure my community would count as a Nazi community, so I don't know if they'd want to ban like a Destiny GG meetup, but hey, it is what it is. Vaush has flirted with the idea of being more or less radical over time, but for the most part, he's always been considered significantly to the left of me. Ian was a highly active member of my community and has stated multiple times that he'd watched every video and debate I'd done.
Twitter because lefties like to jerk themselves off over shit that I say about workers or whatever.
Embarrassing as it is to admit, I have watched every single YouTube video that has been produced by your editor over the past 2 years.
In March of 2019, it had been brought to my attention by a few individuals that Ian was engaging in some form of long-term sexual pressuring of an 18-year-old woman in my community. As my fan base was currently undergoing a fairly radical schism at the time, I had to figure out a way to handle the situation that didn't make it look as though I was only punishing Ian for being a leftist. I decided to do a public reading of the logs, first to my community, to see what the general reaction would be to the behavior before revealing the culprit. His behavior was almost universally condemned, and it was only once I revealed who the accused was that some members of my community changed their mind and said I was being too harsh. This is where the classic, as I'm reading the logs, this is train, Omega lol, Pepe laugh. This has to be train, please don't flirt with me, yikes lol, Nathan yikes, wee you, and then finds out it's Irishladdie. Yikes Destiny, why leak this shit? Fuck you, I have a clean as fuck record. Destiny's pretending like he doesn't do anything, so he just leaks shit. What the fuck? Destiny, you're gonna say all this shit and call someone out on a stream and not give a friend a chance to defend himself? This seems vindictive as fuck. He says you posted misinformation. Regardless, the die had been cast. I brought Ian into Discord to have a conversation about what had transpired, but ultimately was forced to kick him from my Discord server for some time to protect members of my community. The entirety of their Discord DMs can be found here. And then this is a link in our archive to all of their conversations. You can go and do that in your own time, I'm not. Ian was incredibly upset at Poppy post-accusation, even though he had continued to harass her after his apology, and made references to either silencing her by attacking her in Discord, smearing and attacking her with his Discord community, or about how she was a disgusting human being who never needed an apology, who needed to be reduced to a sobbing mess. This is Poppy talking about how even after the apology, he would still make weird comments and attack her. I won't read this whole thing. This is Vaush signaling to his Discord, should I at Poppy and DGG and tell her I'm onto her shit? Maybe I can scare her into shutting her up. This is Poppy complaining about how even once he was blocked, after I blocked him for trying to groom me when I was going through a traumatic experience as an autistic young person, he told me he wanted to prolapse my anus and rape me for months on end. He did not stop until mods got involved, never apologized.
Really nasty.
And then this is a video.
Really nasty stuff. Nasty Bonnell. But that's the gist of it. Poppy is not worth apologizing to. She is barely worth the fucking intrinsic human rights to which all human beings are endowed, okay? She is a disgusting human being. And that doesn't mean what I did wasn't wrong. It does mean I will never apologize to her. But I would love to have her on stream sometime, because she is a nervous, anxious, neurotic liar, and it would be really, really easy to reduce her to a sobbing mess publicly. Would this make me look better in the public eye? No, it would make me look worse. But it would be very satisfying.
Poppy has posted as recently as a year ago a summary of most of what happened and the fallout she experienced afterwards. And then this is like a summary of basically everything that happened. Basically, she was having a lot of trouble in her life, was relatively asexual. Vaush or Ian would continue to make like pretty aggressive sexual comments towards her, even after she pretty explicitly said that she didn't want it anymore. And then once they had a falling out, he basically harassed the fuck out of her in my Discord, and then kind of sicked his fans on her to harass her as well. But once banished from my community, Ian began to grow in his own right as a YouTuber. He also rebranded from Irishladdie to Vaush in order to escape the stigma of his prior misconduct allegations and continue to produce video and debate content across YouTube and Twitch. We would go on to have a friendly rivalry for the next few years through conversation and debate, with me privating the allegation video so as not to destroy his fledgling career, though it wouldn't be without a couple notable road bumps. One of the worst of these was during the Rittenhouse debate saga, where he stood idly by as his girlfriend, roommate, and community tried to get me banned with a 16-second misinterpretation of what I'd stated during a debate about rioting and defense of property. So this is Vaush saying like, oh, you guys can do what you want, just don't advocate for reporting in my Discord. Stop, do what you want with your reports, but don't allude to or encourage mass reporting in the Discord. This is his girlfriend, I think at the time. Unironically, reporting the stream might be a good idea. Reporting him in this situation might actually be a good idea. He's like saying people deserve to die. This was Conyer and then Xander Hall amplifying and trying to signal boost the fuck out of this video that probably got over like 1 million views. This was one of his subreddit mods, report his ass. I don't care how you feel about Destiny. This is fucking reprehensible and objectively worse than anything the likes of even Nick Fuentes or Tucker Carlson would feel comfortable saying. His community had multiple threads calling me a white nationalist or a stochastic terrorist, with Ian liking multiple tweets stating the same. This was a big thread about Destiny's painting all protests with a wide brush. This is irresponsible rhetoric and starting to slip into conservative talking points. How long till someone sees this video and goes on a shooting spree against BLM? Go look at his sub. All of his fans are calling the shooter innocent and treating him like a hero. We need to stop engaging with Destiny. His takes will only continue to get more nuclear when we respond to him in this way. Easy to say as someone who had functionally 0% respect of his, having his life put in jeopardy. White moderate check, conflating protest with rioters check, demanding so yeah, just this is a whole effort post. Destiny is committing stochastic terrorism. Just, yeah. These are tweets that Vaush is liking about cut a liberal and a fascist bleeds. All it took was, Conyer, I think was his roommate, all it took was black people, showing black people in the streets and willing to burn shit down for Steve to start really showing his ass. I've consistently been the left's resident of Destiny politics, but holy shit, are you fucking kidding me? Post Rittenhouse, I decided it was no longer sufficient to be correct, but rather I had to engage in some optical and rhetorical considerations, so actors like Ian weren't able to come out of arguments looking good while being so incorrect in their analysis. Ian decided to stop interacting with me after I became aware of this, leading to 2 disastrous conversations where he advocated that socialists didn't have to live their principles, and a heated screaming match where he claimed that Bush and Scalia were fascists.
There's something particular about socialism and about Hasan and
this is like a whole conversation on, I don't even know if I could clip this, but about how basically if you're a socialist, you don't have to do anything different than a capitalist when living your values.
I'd be happy to come back with a lot more arguments because this is stuff that I have.
And then this is Vaush arguing that I think it was Scalia and Bush were fascists. This panel was unhinged.
Remember from podcasts that I've listened to and articles that I've read and conversations that I've had. With Bush, I think the argument is a lot more direct, and it's obviously something I remember a little bit more directly. I think that Bush, the obvious ones, the straightforward ones are obviously the 2020 election and the extent to which it was not fairly earned, in my opinion. The broader ones, though, are the...
This was him arguing that George W. Bush and Antonin Scalia were fascists. Once he started to elicit critical responses from his own community, he decided it was no longer worth engaging with me and would continue to invent new excuses to avoid doing so indefinitely onwards. So his community even started to realize that like he was getting a little bit unhinged. Good faith criticism of Vaush's performance in last night's Prime panel. This had to do with him being a little crazy, saying everybody is a fascist. I genuinely think this was probably the worst performance I've seen from Vaush. At least with the first Sargon debate, the only issue is that he got mad and was optically ineffective. Even his community understands the optics obsession. Here, not only did he get mad and optically ineffective, his argument, at least when Pepe Ladi, that's me, joined, were subpar. Some pretty yikesy takes like Scalia is a fascist. And then this was him talking to a relevant about the socialists are... socialists don't have to live their value or whatever, but yeah. The Vaush identity. Ian initially started out as a more left version of me. Edgy, debate lord, logic and fact-pilled, but ardently socialist and anti-capitalist. In 2019, he did very well absorbing the fallout from the beginning of my anti-lefty arc, but eventually realized, with the decay of BreadTube, that it wasn't enough to simply rely on absorbing Destiny anti-fans. Due to Ian's extremist, violent, and anti-establishment rhetoric, he could really only draw fans from other extremist circles on the internet. However, Ian also had an interesting predicament in that, like me, he found himself at odds with many in the far left as well, and became increasingly unwilling to debate or even engage with the far right. In January of 2022, Vaush began to feud aggressively with Luna Oi, Non-Compete, FD Signifier, Professor Flowers, and Thought Slime. All of these were large, hypotheticals, left-leaning content creators that he's fighting with. For a while, Ian sought to forge a friendship with Hasan. Due to Hasan's fallout with me, however, Hasan was looking to disengage with the debate side of the internet and network hard with more normal streamers so he could grow his fan base, off of. Hasan also prescribes to a similar view Ian does of not platforming smaller content creators, so Ian had no chance of linking up. For years, Ian was incredibly critical of Hasan, even wanting to take his place. Cargo Boy, fuck that. I'm going to be the dragon who takes Hasan's place. I strongly disavow Hasan's perspective on tankies. I need to grow stronger before I can publicly criticize people like Hasan. I actually am dieting right now. Looking better will help my appeal. It works for Hasan. All I care about is growing. Is it weird for me to think it's weird Hasan doesn't follow me on Twitter? FYI, remember the Hasan editor drama? I was the person who encouraged Hasan's would-be editor to make public his exploitation. I do hope I'm able to eclipse Hasan. I'm growing rapidly. Hasan should pay his editor guy more. My problem with Hasan is that he's the biggest leftist streamer and I want to be that. For years, Ian was incredibly critical of Hasan, even wanting to take his place. But when setting his sights on further stream growth, he eventually tried to gear himself up to be more palatable to larger streamers, even admitting as much when doing a large charity stream in May of 2021.
You know, I really hope that this big live stream, the charity, the positivity, all of it, I hope that it encourages some people who are on the fence about me to be more open to working with me in the future. Working with me, I mean, you know, speaking amicably. That would be nice, I think.
By January of 2022, Ian switched to maximum simp mode, trying to get on Hasan's good side. Eventually, he would realize this was futile, as Hasan simply had no desire to engage, and would return to being critical of him and his fan base.
Spies, people that want to like constantly fucking, I want to debate. I think the only way to figure out who has the best ideas is by like testing the intellectual metal. It's like, dude, that's fine. There's a space for that. STEM lords love that shit. Okay, that's how Ben Shapiro made his like living, right, for many years. And I like having someone like that on the left so that they can, you know, take all the debate guys, because I fucking despise it. Like I think it's really annoying. It's kind of like how I used to love Tulsi Gabbard, because like all the cranks would go and like.
Hard hat being here.
And then this was Vaush's interpretation of that.
I want to debate, like, is this woman...
Oh, by the way, in case you guys are wondering, this is me inferring or whatever, but like people bitch about Hasan in my community. I'm pretty sure this is Hasan actually like covering for me. The real reason why Hasan like doesn't do collab shit with me is because my optics are terrible and would incur like a fuck ton of hate on his part. Him saying, oh, it's because his debate bro community would be annoying to deal with is actually a way of covering for me, because the inevitable follow-up to him saying Vaush's optics are so bad it's difficult to even think about talking with him is to explain why my optics are bad. And every time that comes up, that's a 20-minute conversation about every cancellation I've ever had. So keep in mind, like, you guys are being used, I'm pretty sure you guys are being used as a shield to prevent criticizing me, which I actually think is rather courteous of him. So yeah, I don't have anything to complain about here. Aren't you both equally controversial? Not even close.
Syrian or not? I think that's...
January of 2022, he switched to simp mode, didn't work, blah, blah, blah. In March of 2022, Ian had another massive falling out with the leftist and video essayist community. This time after a fight with Cat Black, ContraPoints, and Noah Sampson. This, combined with viral tweets with J.K. Rowling losing him thousands of subscribers on his YouTube, Ian decided to totally isolate himself in his community, eschewing debate, fuck, I don't remember what I said, debate or challenging engagement, and instead focusing on ratcheting up the extremist rhetoric and exclusively covering YouTube videos and social issues on stream. He would go on to call this, in April of 2022, the Fortress Arc. I think it's eschewing. Eschewing?
The way to defeat bad ideas is exposure, argument, and persuasion? No, idiot. The way...
Oh, this is in mid-2020. Oh, there's a better clip for this. This is in mid-2020 talking about him wanting to... Oh, no, wait. Oh, shit. Maybe this just... Sorry. Let's just watch. There's a lot of clips.
The way to defeat bad ideas is exposure, argument, and persuasion? No, idiot. The way to defeat ideas is power. You seize control of institutions, you do everything within your legal and moral right to destroy the ability for them to disseminate their ideas, you excise them from society, you make intolerant their perspectives, and then you obfuscate any granules of truth they're able to get out. I'm sorry.
The idea in this case is someone mounting any defense for Destiny. Here's how he'll go about squashing that in his community.
But anyway, they'll pull out any rhetorical technique. Which brings me to my subreddit. The purges will continue. 100%. DGGers, in terms of their willingness to raid, and in terms of their moral, like, I don't know, what would I say? Moral capacity, their moral standing, are, as far as I'm concerned, like on board with like alt-right raids, and I just don't care. You can look over at like Destiny's subreddit, and there are people over there, like, they literally act like Kiwi farmers. That's not a joke. You're free to go and look at Destiny's subreddit. They just act like Kiwi farmers. You can compare. They don't use slurs the way Kiwi farmers do sometimes, but in terms of their behavior and their seeming like adherence to reality, they're pretty much on board with that. So yeah, the bans will continue like pretty much all the time.
Make it tolerant their ideas.
Last thing, reminds me of Gamergate. Back in 2014, Gamergate, you know, big bad stuff. And during Gamergate, like 95% of the well-intentioned skeptic community, like 95% of Gamergate was full of like well-intentioned people who just wanted to defend, you know, journalistic rights and like games journalism ethics and what have you. And there was the 5% who were like psychotic doxers. This was the case every time. Basically, the psychotic doxers would go to like feminist YouTubers and like dox them, leak all their shit, harass them, death threats, rape threats, everything, you know? And then when those victims complained about it, the 95%, the concerned trolls, knowing or unknowing, would come in and they would be like, how can you paint all of us gamergators as psychotic doxers? I don't stand with that person, but they all watch the same content creators. So they do. And they all do the same thing, and they play the same game. This is Destiny. This is Destiny's fans. I don't care whether you're one of the psychotic Destiny fans or not, at all. I don't care. You all play defense. You're psychotic. Destiny is psychotic. Do whatever you like. Next topic.
Doesn't matter to Vaush. You are a psychotic doxer or not, being a fan of Destiny is intolerable in all cases because you're supporting that behavior. 4, obfuscate any granules of truth they're able to get out.
The issue with Destiny is that, like, speaking frankly, if you distill it down to its truth, Destiny argues to feel smarter than other people. Every position that he holds is a product of his desire to satiate an emotional need to feel smarter than other people. That is absolutely the case, and he has essentially admitted this on stream before. That's what happens when you are primarily interested.
I don't know if I have to say this or not, but I've never said on stream that I argue to feel smarter than people, by the way.
In the pursuit of the truth, which, by the way, pursuit of the truth means pursuit of what you think is true, and you're primarily self-interested, and you argue in favor of self-interest. All this adds together to mean that he doesn't argue for trans rights because he believes in trans rights. He argues for trans rights because those positions, when held, are the easiest ones to defend. They give him the greatest rhetorical and intellectual advantage against the people he argues against. But having pro-trans positions is not the same thing as being pro-trans. Usually they are. For most people, that is the case. But it's possible to be Destiny, a person who argues in favor of most pro-trans positions, and then to spend a ton of time on Twitter quote tweeting trans accounts, accusing them of being groomers, accusing them of being pedophiles, accusing them of being sex pests, making fun of trans people's suicide attempts.
We'll get into this, but almost every one of these claims is half true or fake.
Going on a Twitter rant in which he defends continuing to make fun of people's suicide attempts. You know, it's possible to be pro-trans position, but still transphobic.
If you defend Destiny because of his support of social issues, Vaush will obfuscate Destiny's position to say that he doesn't really care about it, but we'll get into this later. I don't need all this now. In March, I was indefinitely suspended from Twitch. After some time not appealing his ban on Twitch for the Cracker arc, Ian, sensing an opportunity, that very same day applied for an unban from Twitch, and then made excuses to go back onto panels again, unchallenged, perhaps with the goal of trying to peel viewers off of my old colleagues.
He still wouldn't have me on. How is that defending him? Why was Hasan unbanned? I haven't even submitted my ban appeal. Is it a perm ban from Twitch? It's an indefinite ban. I don't think he was implying that much spite as people said. I don't know why people got so hung up about it. Herman? I don't know what Pee Wee Herman actually is. I don't actually know what that refers to. Will I ever get unbanned from Twitch? Maybe one day I'll submit an appeal. You know? Did you mention the new emote? Oh yeah,
And then on the day that I was banned.
But you've not appealed? No. I appealed last night just because I wanted to find out if Destiny getting permit from Twitch was some kind of like Full Metal Alchemist equivalent exchange thing where like I could somehow wrest myself from the ban through the power of his ban, you know, like to see if there's some sort of universal constant that I can exploit to get back on the platform. But I thought you didn't want to do panels. Well,
I thought you didn't want to do panels, but now that I'm banned,
I generally don't. However, Dylan Burns is like live covering stuff from Poland, like talking to refugees and shit. Like that's pretty awesome. I feel like that deserves recognition, you know? He's a liberal.
Oh, and then example of now that he goes on panels unchallenged, he can say insane shit. This is Vaush calling someone a liberal as a derogatory term because when asked why or what liberal meant, he changed his mind to fascist and admits he avoided it because people make fun of him.
So it doesn't really matter.
To be fair, Wildman was here for. He was on Twitch before.
What's wrong with liberals?
Wait, who's a liberal?
I don't know.
Who are you?
Wildman.
Oh, why are you calling him a liberal? Why do you think he's a liberal?
There are a couple of reasons. I mean, he's certainly not a socialist.
What's a liberal?
A liberal is a person whose economic and social ideology derives from liberalism, or
no, don't use liberalism in a
Liberalism, the broader, Enlightenment philosophies, it tends to be associated with things like, okay, fine, you found me out. I don't actually think he's a liberal. Honest to God, I think he's probably closer to a fascist. I don't think that he embraces liberal values. I was just using the term liberal. I was just using the term liberal because I always call people fascists and I get made fun of for it, even though I can substantiate it most of the time. So in that case, I decided to go with liberal. But no, I think he's probably a fascist, yeah.
My treatment of Ian. Before I get too far into how Ian treats me, I'd like to establish something for how I deal with people I lack respect for. I might personally attack or show disdain towards someone who has wronged me, but I will always give them credit for making good arguments, and I will try to be fair when they get involved in situations with others. This has resulted in me siding with and supporting arguments for several individuals over the years that I had long-standing public feuds with. Later on, we'll look at how Ian claims I'm spite-driven and dishonest when dealing with him, but before we look at his claims, let's take a look at how I actually treat him. 1. I almost always show the full video of whatever Ian is saying so that he has a chance to explain the entire context of whatever topic he's discussing. I almost never rely on second-hand characterizations of things he said, as those tend to be warped, whether intentionally or not. 2, I was willing to mute my stream to have conversations with him while he was banned from Twitch.
Are you gonna wait? I don't want to be responsible for you getting banned.
I'm not banned. I'm muted. We didn't talk.
3, I deleted the Poppy's sexual allegation videos from my channel so his fledgling YouTube career wasn't besmirched with such damaging allegations early on. I would defend him relating to Poppy multiple times later on.
I don't want to know they exist anymore. You just don't want to know they exist. They talk a lot of shit about Vaush also in Destiny's community. Yeah, because Destiny doesn't like him, and he has gone out of his way to humiliate Vaush on his stream too.
I'm pretty sure I'm one of the few people in my community that defends Vaush. I'll say it again for the 7th time. I don't think he should be canceled forever. I don't think he raped anybody. Like, I'm totally cool with him, like, acknowledging what he did, and I said I'd unban him in a month or two. Like, I'm pretty sure I've said this like a million fucking times. I'll say it again, I guess, but okay.
Go for it. People bring up Vaush's past on like a weekly basis. Yeah, I mean, I stopped that shit after a month. I didn't care anymore. After like a week or two, even. Fuck. Irish said he's planning to unban in 2 weeks. If it's unbanned, would you let him come back? Yeah, sure. I don't mind talking to Irish. He's a good conversational partner. Have you seen Irishladdie's tanks on tankies? Honest to God, I think Irishladdie might be the only leftist I've seen that's actually disavowed tankies. Honestly, that might actually be the case. Like, he actually disavows the fuck out of tankies. I don't know if I've ever seen another lefty that does that. Vaush did too? No, that's what I'm saying. Vaush is Irishladdie, sorry. Isn't Contra doing that now? Well, Contra is, but I don't think Contra's ever presented herself as like a socialist or commie. But like all the other lefty people, like Non-Compete and Hasan and Michael Brooks and all those people, like those guys harp the fuck out of like tankies and like USSR apology and shit.
Any thoughts on how Vaush handled his interview with Jesse Peterson? It seemed to be okay. I think, did we watch all of it or just most of it? I don't remember, but it seemed to be fine based on what I saw. Did a pretty good job. I would like Vaush if every time I think of him, I didn't think of the whole harassment thing. I mean, people fuck up and do stupid shit. I mean, I don't know. What are you gonna do? I've done stupid shit. If you don't like Vaush, like, you probably shouldn't like me, because I've done a lot of dumb shit in the past too, so.
I've defended and advertised Ian's good faith multiple times to my community, even after the Poppy drama.
But I'm guessing it refers to the bingo card that this guy was saying earlier. How, like, before I go into a debate with somebody, I already have a bingo card for everything they're going to say. Like, I'm going to check off all the boxes. Like, I already know how to respond to all of the whatever, because I have my own hit pieces and everything prepared. Like, it's super, super, super weird. And it makes me feel like, it's really uncomfortable. And it's like, it's super rare. This is actually one of the reasons, like, it's funny because, like, the one, who was the pedophile guy? I don't know if he was a pedophile. Amos Yee? That guy. Him.
Spoiler alert, he was.
And, like, one other person. Irishladdie, believe it or not, are like, these are like some of the few people that I've had a conversation with, and I felt like they were actually engaging with what I was saying, rather than they had like memorized scripts, and they were just kind of like running it down. Like, it was super. Vegan Games actually was okay as well. Vegan Games was good too, even if I disagree with them. But yeah, it's really hard to find people that can actually like engage in a conversation that's two-way, where they're not just like dictating to you some like memorized speech or whatever.
I ironically even worried about him turning into YouTube Vaush in one of these clips where I was defending him.
Yeah, it sucks to say, but I think Vaush is probably one of the best good faith interlocutors I've ever had. Although, to be fair, this is hard to say, and I don't want to disparage Vaush because I just don't know. But like, it seems like people are really good faith when they're like guests of the Destiny stream, but then sometimes when they spin off and do their own thing, I start to wonder a little bit more. Like when Rem was on my stream, I feel like Rem was always like pretty good faith. But then some of the things he's been involved in like recently, it kind of made me wonder like, well, hold on, like, wait, is this like an issue I actually care about? Or are we literally just like farming over like heck W's on Twitter. Like, what the fuck? I'm not sure. I hope that like Vaush like isn't like if I talk to Vaush again, I hope he's not like YouTube Vaush instead of like the one that I remember talking to before that could have like good conversations and shit. He's never given me a reason to believe that he would be like significantly different or fucked up, which is good. So, but yeah, I guess.
Despite being friends with Bastia and feuding quite viciously with Ian, I cast the third and deciding vote in his favor in the hippy-dippy debate because I genuinely thought he did a better job.
And the last vote is from celebrity guest judge Destiny for Vaush, giving it 2.
He laughed early because he thought I was going to vote against him because he thought I was as spiteful as he is.
2-1 for Vaush, making Vaush the hippy-dippy champion, Destiny being the tie-breaking.
Wait, I was a tie. Oh god, Vaush is gonna, or Bastia's gonna hate me. Fuck.
Congratulations.
Well, yeah, you know, I saw the twist coming the whole time, frankly. Wait, in all seriousness,
Despite being friends with Riley, I took his and Doe's side in the RGR/Doe debate.
Good evening.
Hello, can you hear me?
Uh-oh. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. So, the debate was between you and Doe. I don't want to rehash its entirety here.
Oh, this is just the start of this, but I ended up taking his side and Doe's side, despite the fact that I hate both of them. I think they made better arguments. I gave Ian a lot of credit in his debate with Demonmama, even after Rittenhouse and after him calling me spiteful and obsessively hateful. Vaush has been so kind and so generous to Demonmama. He's been so charitable. He's boosted her, given her a huge... This is March 15th of this year. Platform, brings her on, they're chummy pals, he's like ultra charitable, even in their disagreements. And even though he's done all of this, now he's getting pissed off. He's like, because what he wants to say is like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm treating you with kid gloves. Why the fuck are you raging at me right now? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Are you trying to gaslight me?
I sided with Eon against Chaos's Mel, even though he was a bit hot-headed.
Framework is ideological. You're
asking a comment in the beginning
pragmatic
here?
ways of disassembling.
That's not what Mel is saying at all. Oh my god. Dude, Vaush is so fucking mad at this conversation. He's just going full steam ahead. Oh no. Wacky debaters.
You've never talked to me. You have never...
Alright, muted.
Oh my god. He was so bad. I did ultimately side with him in the debate though. Then again, Chaos's Mel is a fucking tanky, so maybe that's not saying much. Even my community sided with Ian against Professor Flowers. Debate between Vaush and Professor Flowers over black nationalism. Ethnic nationalist bad. Literally Nick Fuentes talking points. Nice one. Lefties defending that crazy racist bitch on Twitter, proving yet again horseshoe theory is correct. No different to Gripers and Nick Fuentes. Fuck these disingenuous pieces of shit. For all the justified hate he is getting, Vaush is a good debater when his opponent is insane. His Charlie Kirk debate and this one are good examples. I no longer watch his content for a plethora of reasons, but at the time he does a good job against anyone with bad positions. This is in contrast to his community calling me a pedophile, rapist, groomer, trans hater, whatever, by the way. I sided with Ian hardcore multiple times against Noah Samson. You can make fun of Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson all you want, if it makes you feel better, or if it makes you feel like an elitist, or if it makes you feel or whatever. But like the fact of the matter is that these are two like wildly influential people, and they have a hold over a huge audience that the left just basically said fuck you and abandoned. When Hasan started, he was a debate bro. The only reason I even had on my screen was because of the big debate he had with Charlie Kirk, and it was prepare for future debates. If you come out of the non-compete Vaush arguments thinking that non-compete looked good there, I think you probably are you need to check your political bias or something. But the thing is that like even Vaush would agree with this. Like they act like it's some big like, oh well Vaush. Like they would say like Vaush. Wait, what?
Antagonistic than I intended to.
And I think this is the second one too, where I side with him on this one because I think they have two comments.
We're already capped. Why would he agree to do this talk? It's the Jordan Peterson debate. Have you watched every single video? Jesus Christ. Do you think that I could ever use that excuse? Like when these lefties say, like, didn't you say anything? I'm like, have you watched every single one of my videos? Have you seen every?
Sided with Vaush every time against Noah Samson. I sided with Ian multiple times against Luna Oy and non-compete.
So I'm gonna guess. I don't watch this loser's Twitter, but is he and Luna on Twitter now saying that Vaush is a Nazi, or thinks that like the Jews deserved to die during World War II? Because that's when I had a conversation with him, that's what him and Luna did to me exactly. They're like, oh, Jesse thinks Vietnam deserved.
Project 30 the same. Looks pretty fake, but will probably be brought up by anti-vaxxers in the future, so good to be familiar with it. Bonus meme. Wow.
And then this is them doing the same thing to Vaush.
Yeah, okay, this is exactly the same thing that he did to me. It's really scary. I guess I don't know as I'm getting older, because he says that him and Luna are like translating books.
This is another, I think, where I
side the same thing. You're going to lecture me on dialectical.
There's no point in having this discussion is my point.
Can you answer that question? Do you think idealism means when you construct a hypothetical? Have you read Capital? It's full of...
Wait, why does this not work? Oh, why is it so hard? Fuck, this is the beginning of this debate, so I'll say it eventually, but I side with him in this one too. I said Ian did a good job in his conversation with Charlie Kirk. I think I
But like
praised
in
him
terms of like content, everything they talked about, I think that Vaush did a good job at like not like losing his cool or like being chill. Like I think that was fine. But then on the flip side, I could see people being upset where they're like, he didn't challenge him enough. He didn't challenge him enough. And I don't know how you balance that, because I'm trying to think, like, at the end of the day, do I feel like Vaush and Charlie had like substantive disagreements that were ever settled with some sort of prescriptive thing? Like Vaush did push back on things, right? On most things. But like, was there actually substantial disagreement? I'm not sure. It's hard. I guess it's hard to tell. Maybe it's like the moving through topics or.
Even when he was bleeding thousands of subscribers during his J.K. Rowling fumble, I tried to give the best possible explanation of his point of view.
Doesn't deserve me.
Oh, I could see myself totally, yeah, especially because maybe I wouldn't have made a misogynistic comment towards J.K. Rowling because I might have made fun of her for being British instead.
True. Oh, because I was saying I can understand Vaush being under attack so much and then just letting like one misogynistic comment fly and then that one gets blown up. And I said, yeah, I could probably make the same mistake. Like I'm sympathetic towards him there. Let's talk about more in this video. I defended him multiple times against people misquoting old things he said where they paint him to be a pedophile, even on a popular podcast with Isaac Butterfield.
In my chat, it's usually to make fun of the fact that they argue about wanting to be pedophiles all the time. That's what we talk about when it comes to liberty.
No, are you talking about Vaush when you say that?
I don't think Vaush has done anything that is remotely pedophilic ever.
But that's really weird because he's talked about how this the age of consent would be lower in a socialist society. He's talked a lot about the age of consent. I read an article today that said his opinions on the age of consent have changed a lot since 2019. So I do think it's maybe like a little bit disingenuous to say he's never said anything.
I think that if you go and listen to any
consent.
of the arguments that Vaush has ever given when talking about the age of consent, they are far more nuanced than I think we should be able to fuck little kids. I don't think Vaush has ever said anything remotely bordering on.
That was in 2020, December. This was a recent podcast, I think more recent, with Isaac Butterfield in March of this year. Send him any good faith whatsoever, because he's, I hate that I'm saying this because I shouldn't extend him any good faith whatsoever because he's truly a scumfuck human being. I don't think he's an actual pedophile. I just say shit like that to try to fuck him.
I don't either.
Yeah. So I think he's had some like dumb quotes that are like kind of hyperbolic. Like, I want to say at one point, I hope I'm not misquoting it, but I think he said something like, if you're okay with like child slavery, like people making clothes in China, you should be okay with like child sex. And it's like, I understand what he's going for there. He was trying to say that like neither of those are okay, but people took it as him saying that both were okay. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what a lot of the quotes are. But the only so do my best to understand and steelman his positions, even though I shouldn't. I clarified that Vaush wasn't as bad as Hasan when he was banned from Twitch over the cracker discourse. This week, Twitch suspended 3 streamers, Hasan, Vaush, and Fawnchild. It sucks too because Fawn, Melina's friend, she shouldn't be included with either of these two, okay? Because she legitimately was not insulting anybody with it. Vaush definitely shouldn't be included with Hasan, although Vaush should argue, I'm still going to use it as a slur, which maybe sounds kind of dumb. But like, Hasan was like clearly the worst. I like the grouping of these 3 together. Like we're tranching fucking CDOs and we're trying to throw like bad mortgages in with good ones to make all of them seem the same. Like this is bullshit. Why would you have, I don't know why you put all 3 of these together. It's actually so disingenuous. I've said that I hold Ian to a higher standard than Hasan for political discourse.
A lot of fucked up shit happened. He was also walking around.
There's like so damn, dude. I evaluate Vaush and Hasan differently because I consider Vaush to be more like a political streamer and Hasan is more like pop politics or whatever. I don't know what the fuck you would call it, whatever, like Frankenstein of like socialist larvae entertainment plus pretending to read anything about the news is. I don't know what you'd call Hasan, but I tend to hold them in like different regards. So like I'll put Vaush like to way higher standards than I would hold Hasan. But like I expressed that I thought that Ian's ban was unfair from Twitch over the cracker discourse.
That's horrible.
Yeah, that's where we're at. I do agree though, it sucks.
I don't think Vaush should be banned from Twitch.
No, I don't think so either. It wasn't really that bad, not compared to Hasan. If he appeals, he might come back, but little did we know he wasn't going to do that till he could slither back on. I even defend Ian against unfair characterizations from my chat.
It's like, was Vaush alleging that you were lying about Wreckful Destiny? Wait, what?
Like, there are people that don't even seek help from mental health professionals because they are so fucking afraid of being committed to an institution. That's why Byron jumped out the fucking window, killed himself, to try to find more help. Because he had one bad experience. He was committed to a mental institution. He never wanted to talk to anybody about it. It wouldn't surprise me. I know they can, but I don't know if most people know that. It wouldn't surprise me. So you can laugh all you want, but I don't think that most people see a cop.
Wait, what did he even say? Hold on.
Anybody related to it wouldn't surprise me. I know.
Cops can commit. I don't think he implied I was lying about this.
Notice that, like, the guy makes a claim about Vaush in my chat, so I click through the link and then I listen to what he was saying to see if I agree with the characterization of the chatter. The chatter said that Vaush is implying that you lied about Byron killing himself. And if I was Vaush, I would say like, oh yeah, he did. What a horrible person. That's because he's evil. But I don't do that. I'll click through the link. I'll listen to it. And in this case, I disagreed with the chatter's characterization. I don't think that's what Vaush was implying there.
More autocratic than we are. We could have been on top of the world.
If we had committed to the development of green energy and then moved our manufacturing sector over from coal and cars or whatever else comparative advantage would have demanded we move our industry to the third world and started producing green energy shit here, we could have been like spacemen. We could have lived in the future. We could have patented all this technology and sold it to the rest of the world. Of course, I would have asked that we sell it at very low prices and maybe even give it free for developing countries and stuff. But like, man, modern American industry could have been built off of the green energy revolution. And it's too late now. We can get into it, sure, but we won't be the first ones. Not even close. We're going to be, at best, at par with other leaders.
No, everyone in chat saying this is so stupid. This is absolutely true. The United States could have been the leader in all of this. 1,000,000%. 1,000,000,000%. We just didn't have the political will to do so.
We'll probably
you guys in chat need to listen to what people are saying or go away. Oh my god, some of you guys hate people so much. I fucking hate Vaush, okay? Well, I don't really hate people, but fuck, it's so, I don't like him, obviously, but just when he says something right, it's right. Like, don't be like so fucking weird where like every single thing somebody that you guys don't like or you think I don't like says something, you're like, oh, that's so wrong. Oh, that's so dumb. Oh, that's so stupid. Like, Jesus. This is a common theme in my chat. Even you guys do this, as much as I don't wish that you guys would. You guys will hear somebody that you don't like Jordan Peterson or Ben Shapiro or Vaush or Hasan. They'll say something and you just want to disagree with them just because of who they are. I try not to ever do that. There might be times when people you don't like make good points. And when they do that, then you give them credit for it, you know? I could probably find more here. I don't know if I need to, but like, I think that I'm pretty relentless in my treatment of Ian. Pretty good faith. I'll give him credit when he needs it. When I disagree with things, they're on substance. But Similaxtony. I want to describe one of the big processes in which people come to believe things about me that aren't true. For lack of a clever name, I'll call this the DLC, or Destiny Lie Cycle, that Ian continually takes part in. 1. A false claim about me is made, or a statement about something I've said with no proof or reference. Oftentimes, this might be a chatter saying, hey Vaush, did you hear when Destiny said XYZ? Oh, apparently I skipped 19. It's just me saying that Vaush is better than all these other people. To be fair, Vaush is easily 1,000 times greater than the 3 of these other dipshits combined. I just didn't have time to make a meme with someone else in the bottom left. Sorry, I skipped number 19. Step 1 is a false claim about me is made, or a statement about something I've said with no proof or reference. Oftentimes, this might be a chatter saying, hey Vaush, did you hear when Destiny said XYZ? Or a tweet claiming I've said or done something? Number 2, a character explanation will be given for why I've done the thing I did not do. Of course Destiny said this. It's because he's transphobic, arrogant, racist, sociopathic, etc. Number 3, this claim will echo and reverberate throughout the community. Ian's community will listen to, agree with, and repeat back his characterization of me as they discuss why I am the kind of person who would do the kind of thing that I did not actually do. Number 4, this new demonic caricature will become the reference for future attacks. Remember when Destiny said XYZ, guys? Where the thing that's being remembered is not actually the thing I've said or done, but the initial false claim. A copy without a reference, or simulacrum, if you will. Let's look at some examples for how claims are made and exaggerated. Notice that, in contrast to my treatment of Ian, he will almost never have the original video or tweet on screen to engage with what's actually being discussed. Instead, it's almost always a caricature or his memory of another caricature of what I've said. Also, sometimes the exaggerations are not huge, but they're just slight enough to slowly change the representations of things I've said over time to slowly morph me into a monster. Example 1. Ian misrepresents an entire Twitter chain for the purpose of making me look ridiculous. Almost nothing said here is true.
You who don't remember, there was this lady on Twitter who just tweeted, not at anyone, not in response to anything, just not even in this circle, just a person on Twitter who tweeted that she'd been raped like several times and essentially asked men to not do that. And then Mindwaves, who's like I guess adjacent to Destiny, I don't really know, tweeted some snarky shit at that, and then Destiny jumped in and said something about how like if she wasn't strong enough to speak up to the guys who were raping her, then it ended with him calling her like a retarded child for not having the strength of character to speak up to a rapist or whatever. Like out of nothing. Like again, this was just some random. And
almost nothing said here is true. She hadn't initially tweeted that she'd been raped several times. She said, A dude slipped his condom off during sex after I asked him to wear one this week, and it's been bothering me, but I was too awkward to say anything. Not even the first time this has happened. Stop doing this, man. I never said you needed to be strong enough to stand up to guys raping you. I said, if you're noticing someone is taking a condom off and you can't say anything, you probably don't have the emotional maturity to engage in sex. You should just grab a caretaker or something and stick to masturbating to furry porn. Sorry. And that's a response not even to the girl, but to somebody else. I never called her a retarded child. I quote tweeted one of my own tweets and said, if you are noticing someone is taking a condom off and you can't say anything, you probably don't have the emotional maturity to sex. And then the quote tweet was, sorry, I want to apologize for my last tweet. You should treat every single woman you come across like a retarded child who's incapable of voicing an opinion about literally anything. Ideally, you would bring her dad along to every fuck so that he can guide her through the process. Ian goes on to spend minutes recounting an entire set of tweets and convos, yet never shows an original video or tweet once. Why? Number 2, now that Ian has created a false copy, he refers back to it, saying I've engaged in rape apologia, and that I've said a woman who was raped is like a retarded child, right after saying I've done so many awful things to justify my Twitch ban.
Justified. When he was doing his like rape apologia arc and like laughing and saying that like a woman who was raped was a retarded child, like if he got banned from Twitch for that, I would have thought, yeah, no shit.
I have never engaged in rape apologia, and none of my tweets were ever calling the original victim a retarded child. 3. Ian has also incorrectly stated that I'm laughing at women who are choosing to be raped.
I'm a proud agent of the CIA, and Destiny is currently laughing at the audacity of women like choosing to be raped.
Ian talks about something we saw in regards to me laughing at a woman who was raped and calling her a retarded child. This never happened. The thing his audience saw was past fiction, and now he's referring to it in reference to an event that never happened.
But we saw Destiny during the whole like rape apologia arc where like, again, he's literally just like laughing at a woman who was raped,
calling her a retarded child. He also claims I've argued against Me Too in this clip and says women should shut up if they get raped, despite me doing a ton of Me Too coverage on stream and being thanked by victims of abusers online about it. He also repeats, we saw all of this, except Ian has never shown anyone anything. He even goes on to say that no context is missing from any of my statements.
But we saw Destiny during the whole like rape apologia arc where like, again, he's literally just like laughing at a woman who was raped, calling her a retarded child, attacking her over nothing. Literally, she said nothing to him. He just decided to attack her. Like just 'cause.
Remember, I'm not attacking her. I'm quote tweeting myself and responding to other people.
And then later he like argued against Me Too and said women should shut up if they get like raped and not like talk about it on social media. Anyway, we saw all of this. And like, I saw somebody in my replies point this out. And then somebody, a DGGer, replied to that saying, did you look at the context of those statements? My brother in Christ, no context was missing from those statements.
Almost every statement created is either half true or completely fabricated. The anti-Me Too statements are most likely in reference to this tweet, where I was critical of people who randomly open up about trauma and assault on Twitter. Real talk, opening up about your rape and shit on Twitter is incredibly fucking weird and should have never been normalized. I have no idea why the fuck people encourage others to trauma dump on social media. It's insanely unhealthy. I don't believe it's an appropriate forum to trauma dump, but I've also said I don't believe Me Too is about trauma dumping. It's about holding larger figures accountable when all other avenues of justice have been exhausted. It's fair to take issue with my tweet, but there's no fair characterization of me that is anti-Me Too. Ian here calls me transphobic while admitting I hold pro-trans positions.
Honestly, I just think that Destiny's a transphobe. People in his community will argue against it because he's had pro-trans positions in the past and even does currently. But let me talk to you very briefly about that.
He goes on to destroy my character before stating anything about my transpositions, saying I don't care about minority groups, calling me a sociopath, and badly misquoting my philosophical position on egoism. After running through some garbage philosophy to explain his own way of argumentation, he eventually arrives at the position that I argue to feel smarter about other people.
Honestly, I just think that Destiny's a transphobe. People in his community will argue against it because he's had pro-trans positions in the past and even does currently. But let me talk to you very briefly about that. Very, very briefly. How can you justify that? Just you watch person who joined the site in the last 24 hours. All right, Artemy, you getting out of here. You fool. There we go. So I'm going to paraphrase Destiny here, but nothing that I'm about to say is a smear. It's literally just a thing that he said about himself. Destiny does not care inherently about any minority groups whatsoever.
Remember, he's paraphrasing me because he can never show the reference. Only the references that he's created, the false references.
However, he cares about the pursuit of the truth, truthful positions. He said that himself. He said it for years, too. Like, he cares first and foremost about finding the truth, which sounds nice, you know. He said for years as well that he's a sociopath, which is kind of a warning sign when people say that about themselves, whether or not they're correct, but, you know.
That's a joke.
He said many times that he's an egoist, that his moral biases are towards his own self-betterment, you know? Now, on their own,
That's step one to building out social contract theory, which he never does.
These things are inherently wrong. The issue is how they combine. Let me explain, okay? So,
the way that these combine are me saying, I'm generally interested in myself. People work better when we're working together. Therefore, we ought to work with as many people as possible because when we've created a society that's happy and healthy for everybody, it's going to benefit me the most. That's how it comes together in the end. And that's how it's always come together in every moral philosophy debate I've had and in every policy position debate I've ever had. And it's exactly what I said earlier in my own document regarding trans issues.
I talk about all these political issues. It's because I have a political bias towards a set of principles derived from subjective axioms that I want to achieve. They involve equality. They involve, you know, human betterment, you know, blah, blah, blah. I've talked about it a million times before. I have what feels like an external set of processes and destinations that I can refer to whenever I want the world, you know, whenever I want to refer to my own beliefs. Now, obviously, these are still subjectively held values, the axioms, so it's not like I have some objective truth marker that I can figure out, but I think it's still useful. The issue with Destiny is that, like, speaking frankly, if you distill it down to its truth, Destiny argues to feel smarter than other people. Every position that he holds is a product of his desire to satiate an emotional need to feel smarter than other people.
The way that he characterizes this is so insane. I've said that I hold the positions that I think are the most defensible because I think they're correct. I don't understand what the alternative to that would be. Would it be me arguing for positions that I think are incorrect? I don't understand. Oh, Ashley Jubilee, is that the person we fought with a few days ago? But apparently I only argue to feel smarter than other people, whatever that means. This is an obvious contrast to the large number of academics I've had on my stream. Why would I challenge myself if I just wanted to feel smarter than others? It seems strange to construct so much argumentation to attack someone for wanting to pursue the truth. Ian here falsely claims that I'm quote tweeting multiple transgender people and calling them pedophiles, groomers, and sex pests and making fun of their suicide attempts.
But it's possible to be Destiny, a person who argues in favor of most pro-trans positions, and then to spend a ton of time on Twitter quote tweeting trans accounts, accusing them of being groomers, accusing them of being pedophiles, accusing them of being sex pests, making fun of trans people's suicide attempts, going on a Twitter rant in which he defends continuing to make fun of people's suicide attempts. You know, it's possible to be pro-trans position, but still transphobic. And
none of these statements have literally anything to do with transphobia. The only trans person I've ever called a pedophile was Chloe, the one who originated the joke about me raping my wife on stream. She was the one that originally popularized this. She even admits as much. And that was in response to her tweeting that she'd gotten over 500 minors on HRT. Yikes, at Bob posting as actual pedophile, be careful kids. Her tweet response to me was, also, I got like 500 plus minors on HRT, not 7. Get it right, Steven. I do not make fun of trans people's suicide attempts. I have only gone after one person, Doe, and it had nothing to do with her being trans. Ian will go on to do more character assassination, trying to claim that I believe all trans people to be stupid ingrates who are subhuman internet detractors.
It's that he and his community regard them with a kind of detached apathy. Essentially, Destiny thinks trans people are stupid ingrates who don't appreciate all the good he's done for trans people. And in that respect, because they've wronged him and his bias and priority is towards his well-being, they're functionally no different from the alt-righters that he used to argue against. They're just another group of, you know, essentially subhuman internet detractors that he can pull out all the stops against.
I have never given any indication like this in my life. This is also a touch ironic, as Ian has said in much harsher words than I.
The left community online, particularly the LGBT community, is cancerous as fuck. If you're not an idiot, you will agree with me on this. If you have any fucking experience with online like LGBT or leftist discourse, you know it's cancerous as fuck. You understand this. People are hyper fragile. There's a ton of mental illness. And you can't convert these people. They're not reasonable. They have to be excised from the left. And it's because it's coming from dumb fucks who are gay. This person says they're gay as hell? Because it's coming from the gays. It's woke now. These people are less than human to me. I have no respect for these people. These people are fucking disgusting. You don't need to be a psychologist to see that a large portion of the broader fucking like woke-tard cancel culture idpo left is predicated on shared mental illness. This is particularly prominent in the trans community. If you disagree with me on this, you're wrong. I know it sounds yikesy. It happens anyway. Pretty much every time I deal with dipshits from the left that's trans girls, that I notice there's a vastly disproportionate amount of dumb fuck lefty takes in my feed coming from trans people. I don't know. Most of the time when a wildly fucking irrational lefty comes in to make bad faith arguments against me, it's a trans person. That is a fact. If all of these dumb fucks recognize that I despise them and think they're every bit as detrimental to the left as Nazis are, I am doing good. I want these people to know that they're my enemy. I fucking hate them. I really do. But they're not your enemy. Oh, no. Yes, they are. They hurt me and they hurt you. Because every time some dumb fuck trans girl on Twitter who's acting out mental illness, whining, calling people like me transphobic because I disagree with them, they're hurting the left. No, these people are ill. These people are cancer. They're subhuman. I don't care.
Question. You don't have to do that kind of shit. That doesn't help.
Yeah, I'm edgy. I don't give a fuck.
It's not just, you know that's not just being edgy.
Damn right. Yeah, it's edgy as shit.
No, making a reference to the Jewish question about how like there's like a trans conspiracy or whatever, like that's not just being edgy. That's like literally calling for the death of...
It's a touch ironic, as Ian has said in much harsher words than I, the online trans community is hyper-fragile, wrought with a ton of mental illness, and that they are unreasonable people that can't be converted. He also said that these people are less than human and subhuman. And he's claimed...
coming on stream and saying that people need to kill themselves and like, it's the trans community.
Well, well, hold on. For one, yes, I think these people are an existential threat to the safety and success of leftism. Yeah, they're as big a threat as Nazis. Easily. Yes, 100%. Yeah, Detroit, yes.
It's also claimed that the online trans community is a bigger threat than Nazis. I guess technically he said as big a threat as Nazis, so that's a little bit of fake news here, my bad. Ian's transphobic rants were so legendary, they got him notoriety in other left-leaning communities on Reddit. There are some Reddits that have bots that will automatically ban you if you post in Vaush's subreddit because you're, because they say that he's transphobic. I don't remember all of these subreddits, but Vaush, a cis man, claims trans people do not have a better understanding of transness. They have like a bot to like auto respond to Vaush posters, I think, with quotes from Vaush about trans people. Vaush claims that my moral compass is fucked and that the warning signs have been there for years. He'll make another reference back to all of the horrible things I've done, but he's never referencing a real action or thing I've done, only his other references.
The stops against. I think that Destiny's moral compass is fucked. I think the warning signs have been there for years, but they've gotten infinitely worse in the past few years. And as a product of all this, I just don't care about him being banned from Twitch because he's done so many things that I would consider worthy of it, that parsing out the specifics of how this ban took place when the Twitch ban is opaque and I don't actually know how he got banned from Twitch is, I just don't care.
This is in contrast to when I was talking to Mr. Girl, and I said that Vaush probably shouldn't be banned from Twitch when he was explicitly defending calling people racial slurs because they were white, by the way. All doing this while still claiming that I'm the one that's spite-driven and that I'm the one that treats him unfairly. Ian claims that my community is psychotic by referring to objective truth.
Care. Which brings me to his community. It's psychotic. I'm sorry, I can defer...
What is the evidence for that? Can you tell me again?
To objective truth on this one, just go look at it.
Oh, it's okay. Of course, he never does look at it, of course, or show anything about it. Ian horrendously misrepresents my opinion during the Just Move discourse, claiming my positions are ridiculous and then I walk them back.
And you fuck Destiny up, he's singing new lows. We're not talking with Destiny anymore. There's not really a point. I mean, I have to keep saying this because I know there's like a deep tie between the community, but the tie is done. We're not getting through to that. I think that his behavior has been desperate and juvenile over the past couple of months, and it's so clear that his positions are motivated more by spiting the left than anything else. He's taken ridiculous positions, walked them back, then redoubled them. One of the things that I found most embarrassing, like really embarrassing, is that for about a year now, Destiny has repeated this like just move thing. If you not everyone has to live in a big inner city. If you can't afford your rent, just move to like Nebraska or some other place that doesn't have super high rent. To which the immediate question is, then what about the hundreds of thousands of service workers in that city? Like, you know, the people in that city that maintain the city for wages that are too small to live in the city. He never answers this. Then he finally talks.
And never answers this. My just move arc was a prescription that if you couldn't afford where you lived, your rent is your biggest part of your budget, so you should find a cheaper place to live. That got distilled down into Destiny thinks all poor people should move from every single major city.
Talks with Noah. Noah, what was that guy's name? He's a liberal economist. Is this this Noah guy? And Noah Opinion? That's what he goes by. Noah Opinion. Anyway, Destiny then completely walks back the take, and now it's about people in the tech industry who make 6 figures but decide to live in penthouse apartments that cost $6,000 a month and then complain about their rent.
That wasn't only what it was about. It was about poor people with expensive houses that didn't have to pay taxes with them because of Prop 13. Not only was it not about that, but oh my God, did I not include the link? Noah 100% agreed with my opinion. Fuck. Harpers are now on a... Oh my God, did I not... I didn't have it. Fuck. I asked Noah what his opinion is on Prop 13, and he says, you know what? If you have a $2 million house, maybe you should just sell it, because it sounds like you're doing okay, which is one of the weird problems coming up in California, where Prop 13 has made it so that people with expensive houses don't have to pay property taxes, essentially. Fuck, I can't believe it. I don't know why I didn't include that clip, but... He also claims I've changed my entire... Wait, it's there? Oh, maybe it's here, down here, sorry. He also claims I've changed my entire argument from claiming poor people should move to saying that wealthy tech bros should move in a conversation I had with Noah. My initial argument was not to say that all poor people should move. It was that people who can't afford a particular area they live in should move to a cheaper apartment/area, as rent is going to be your largest expense. Many people in both mine and Ian's community counter this by essentially saying that moving as a poor person is impossible, a position I still disagree with. Harpers are now unironically saying stupid shit like, oh no, if you're poor, you can literally never ever move. It's impossible, which is like just fucking stupid. It's beyond fucking stupid. So the arguments people were giving is, well, what about the security deposits? You can't move. It reeks of fucking dumb fuck college kid. Which is, first of all, you get your security deposit back when you move, and you can't just never move and just die in your house or apartment because you can't afford another security deposit. I did not walk back any housing position with Noah. We spoke about people being forced to move due to high property taxes relating to Prop 13 in California, in which both of us agreed that the people living in houses should simply sell them and move. Prop 13 isn't seen as protecting wealthy people in California. I think it's seen as a protection for relatively middle class or working class people in California who own property.
Prop 13.
Okay, so assuming no Prop 13, yeah, how do you prevent those people from being displaced, or should you? Should you just like, assuming no, yeah, are you pro?
Got it.
Or I made a big assumption.
Owners.
Yeah, are you pro?
Owners.
Yeah, $1 million, you can't.
You have to move so we can build this train track?
No, I mean, you have to move because, so we'll say like in the place California, absent Prop 13, you bought a $50,000 house, now it's worth $2 million, you can't afford the taxes on it, you should sell it and move. Like, how do you prevent displacing people like that? Yeah. So I'm asking him, how do you prevent people from being forced to move if you can't afford the property taxes on your house in California related to Prop 13?
Got it.
Or I made a big assumption.
Owners.
Yeah, are you pro?
Owners.
Yeah, are you pro Prop 13 or are you anti Prop 13?
Anti Prop 13.
Okay, so assuming no Prop 13, yeah, how do you prevent those people from being displaced, or should you? Should you just like let them sell and leave, or what?
I mean, your home is worth $2 million now. You're okay.
Fuck. Okay.
You take your $2 million.
Sure. And just move.
Okay. But if you, there's like a medium, like maybe if.
I did not walk back any housing position with Noah. We spoke about people being forced to move due to high taxes, due to high property taxes relating to Prop 13 in California, in which both of us agree that people living in the houses should simply sell them and move. The next day, he references his own prior misrepresentations of my Just Move conversation to reinforce the idea that I'm classist.
If to cap it off, I've said that like Destiny's main issue is spite, and that's true. My criticism won't update, you know. It's not an insult, because insults are something that I have to vary so that they can stay interesting, but it's just the thing that he is, so it's going to remain the case. I think another thing that he is a reactionary in the sense that he's classist, which is worth bringing up. Everything from the Just Move thing, the idea that like people who complain about how high rent is when they live in big cities should just move elsewhere, even though big cities need people being paid wages for minimum wage.
Remember, so it's changed from people who complain about high rent to people who complain about high rent from people who can afford where they live. So subtle changes.
Jobs in order to survive. Like, if all the people who paid more than 1/3 of their salary in rent in LA just left, LA would collapse, right? Because those people prop up LA, right? It's a very stupid point. Like, it doesn't.
Into me claiming that every poor person in LA should move out of LA.
Much thought to understand, like, oh wait, the city needs these people, but it also doesn't provide them what they need to live there. That is a problem.
Here's the level 1 rejection against a stupid argument I would never make. Well, Destiny, what are you going to do with the city when all the poor people move? Yeah, that's true. That would be a pretty stupid thing of me to say, huh?
But he reassigns that back to their poor decision making. Oh, they should just move out to Arkansas and live in a house that costs $2 or whatever. That alongside his critiques of worker co-ops seeming to stem from him thinking workers are stupid, which is what he said on Twitter, I think, like 2 Twitter accounts ago and like 18 Twitter purges ago. And later he...
Mike, oh, I should have included a link to this. My saying that workers were stupid is I don't think workers should be put in charge of companies, because I don't think the average line worker is going to understand the inner workings of like bureaucratic management for companies. Not just that people are intrinsically dumb and they have worker brains.
Contextualize this by saying like, well, you know, anyone's stupid if you haven't been educated or whatever. But I think that deep down, one of the holdovers from, no, not holdovers from, one of the things that causes people to be libertarian, which is what he was for the longest time, was the deep-seated belief that you're better than everyone else. And I think that's what motivated everything else that he's done and everything else that he's believed, if that makes any sense. He doesn't seem to care much about democracy because the people are stupid. You know, any system which enables democracy, he doesn't like very much, or he seems to have some kind of innate disdain for the intelligence of the people in that system.
This is a misquote. I don't know if I can have this later on, but this is a misquote of an argument we had where I said that I don't know if democracy is effective for solving complicated problems because the problems that need to be solved are so complicated. I don't know if the average citizen has good insight into how to solve them. And examples I gave were things like climate change, which is still probably somewhat true.
Most of his like, yeah, I don't know. Most of his like debate advocacy seems to be like the sort of aesthetic performative enjoyment of the
ironic statement.
Being smarter than the people you're talking to, if that makes any sense, you know? I think that actually speaks to him more than contrarianism or whatever. Like, I think that like that's one of the reasons why libertarianism is appealing. But I think the only reason he moved off libertarianism isn't because his like fundamental ideology changed. It's because he found a better system for being smarter than other people. And of course, serving him very poorly with, you know, wise criticisms of worker co-ops like, well, what if they all just voted to raise their wages up super high? You should react.
He claims that my criticisms of co-ops were, what if they just vote to raise their wages high? Which is an absurd way of me getting across the idea that people running a business that they're also an expense of introduces a weird contradiction that the same person in charge of profitably running a business is also in charge of raising one of the expenses because there's a worker who's getting a salary. But I mean, if he wants to phrase it that way, he can do that. But hold on, I don't think I need to watch anymore of this. Oh wait, shit, I needed to watch for... Oh shit.
If to cap it off, I've said that like Destiny's main issue is spite.
And then he does the...
super high. You should react to Destiny's critique of your debate with Econ Boy. I assume he went over the second one as well, because he went over both debates with Econ Boy, no doubt. He seemed to have some legitimate criticisms worth addressing.
Destiny had legitimate criticisms worth addressing. What's the response?
Probably not, you know? That's sort of like looking for an apple in a sewage tank in terms of legitimate criticisms towards me from Destiny. It seems highly unlikely. I tend to get my advice from people who I haven't just left in the dust, intellectually, of course. But if there are any criticisms or whatever, you're free to like email me. I can give them a look. I feel like all the empirical claims that I made were empirically...
We'll never engage with any thing that I've said about him directly, of course. One criticism I said was that people... At 240, he even explicitly says that he doesn't want to address any criticisms I've given him, so he'll never watch a video with my claims. This doesn't prevent him from misrepresenting my views on his stream over and over again, however. One thing that I don't know if I do this, explicitly say this, but like, if somebody doesn't want to engage with things I've said or whatever, that's totally fine. I don't like Crowder and Ben Shapiro. These people don't engage with things I say. What I don't like is this dual world where they're like, I'm not going to cover anything that he says or does, but then they continue to strawman or misrepresent the fuck out of me on their stream or YouTube channel. That's incredibly frustrating to me. Is having somebody say, I'm not engaging, but then they'll continue to dole out these caricatures of me that are absolutely insane. One criticism I said was that people should not be moving to the most expensive cities in the US and that there were other cities you could move to for job hunting. So I think this had to do with some people were saying that like, oh, I need to live in LA, I need to live in San Francisco because that's where the best jobs are. And my argument was that you're not getting paid 4 or 5 times as much in these cities generally. So you're not getting a wage compensation to justify you moving to like the most expensive areas and the most expensive cities. Stated for how much it costs to live here. And this is why I said it in the past, people got mad at me, and I'll say it again. Move, you get the fuck out.
I don't know why the fuck anybody would come to live in fucking LA, Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, Miami, Orlando, fucking New York. I don't know why the fuck anybody would move to these fucking cities. Go somewhere else.
Why move into one of these cities if you don't have like a promised huge paying job? Because it's so expensive. There's no reason for it. We're not talking about janitors or poor immigrants that are already here. We're talking about people that are choosing to move to these cities to work jobs that aren't really even compensating them for how unbelievably expensive it is to live there.
The part missing from that, though, is my parents grew up and bought a house in rural Ohio, and I want a fucking high-rise in Manhattan. That's what feels like the difference. Is that all these people complaining about the affordability of housing, the cost of living, want to buy a fucking single-family home in the fucking Bay Area.
So this has to do with people saying, like, boomers could afford homes. Boomers could afford homes everywhere. Yeah, they did, but boomers bought homes all across the country. Millennials and Zoomers want to live in 10 cities. Destiny, rent here is $1,500 a month. What the fuck do you mean, Orlando? Wait, are you talking about Miami? Miami rent is hella expensive, my dude. I've stated in the past that I'm frustrated when people act like you can't move to a cheaper place to budget money better.
Okay. Okay, this kind of comment is getting upvoted on this thread. Budget better equals move. Are you trolling? Moving to a cheaper place can absolutely be part of budgeting.
Hold on. I might be condescending here. I'm trying not to be condescending now. Yes. This is what you do. Part of living in an apartment and managing your budget is sometimes you move to a cheaper apartment. I don't know why that was so controversial, even in my community.
Do you not understand that? Do you think that all homes are immovable? That you know that just because you move, it doesn't mean you have to move to an entirely different fucking planet, right? Like, you can move to, oh, this is Slug Christ typing this dumb fucking shit. Oh, fuck, I feel even better about banning you then. What a dumb fucking comment. Better budget better equals move? Are you trolling? Like, your home expenses are one of the biggest parts of your budget. Yeah, of course. Like, what's next? If I were to say, like, maybe you should sell your car and buy something cheaper. Oh, so selling my car is better budgeting? Like, what the fuck else are you supposed to budget between car payments and home payments? That's like 50% of your fucking monthly expenses.
At least 50%, if not more.
Like, what are you budgeting better? Like, the type of coffee you buy? What do you think it means to make a budget? Like, when I see comments like this, it reeks of fucking...
Whoa! Rich college kid. It's true. I've literally explicitly spoken to Ian about this exact conversation topic before and explained my exact position. He backs off from his issue with my position and just moves to a "your rhetoric is mean" argument.
And with their situation, or
well, it would have to apply. It would have to apply to. So I was giving the advice that if you can't afford your current dwelling, sometimes it's good to downsize. And then somebody said, "What if you can't find another job?" And then I said, "Okay, well, if you can't find a job now, and you're in a place you can't afford, you can't find another job now. Like with unemployment as it is, you're pretty fucked. Like there's no reason."
I would consider that problematic. Yeah, like if you're saying if that's the group you're targeting, if we want to be specific to that group of people who should move, but
do you understand that
find a job, I would consider that problematic.
Do you understand that his response isn't really a response to anything I'm saying?
Whether or not the person in chat was being reasonable is unrelated to the way in which your statement's meaning is interpreted and the group of people that are being selected for the conditions you've set for your hyperbolic statement. You're referring to unemployed people, or more specifically, if you want to be charitable, unemployed people who are worried if they'll be able to find another job after they move. And to say to those people what you've said, I would consider that to be frankly discriminatory, in the same way that I would take umbrage with somebody who made a statement of comparable, hyperbole about black people or trans people or whatever.
It's not. Whoa, this isn't about. It's not about black people or trans people. It's not about some intrinsic characteristics. It's the idea that you think if you can't move because it's impossible to find another job right now. I find that statement to be a little bit ridiculous in response to the suggestion that you should move to a cheaper dwelling if you can't afford where you live. Hence the hyperbolic response. I don't believe that it's fair to say that I was targeting all poor people with that reply. In which case, almost any reply that I make to a person that gives that reason why they can't move is going to be necessarily targeting like all classes of poor people. Like somebody tells me it's too expensive to move, and I'm like, listen, dude, you should have like some friends that can help you. It's $25 to rent a truck. Like, oh, well, are you attacking all poor people that can't make friends, or all poor people that can't afford the $25 to rent a truck? It's like, okay, well, like literally any response I give to this person is going to be interpreted as an attack on the class of poor people.
But if you're making that statement without knowledge of the specific case the person is talking about with the specific living situation that they have, you can only be making that statement in regards to whatever it is you were making a response to, which is a person who wants to move but is worried they won't be able to find a job. There's no interpretation of your statement that applies the hyperbole you engaged in to any group more specific.
Well, sure, because in general, you should be able to find another job in this economy, especially if you're working like a retailer.
But now you're justifying it. You're not saying.
No, hold on. I'm not justifying that they should kill themselves. I'm not justifying the hyperbole. I'm saying that like in this.
Justifying the sentiment of antagonism.
What antagonism?
Would you like me to read it again? Again, I'm not saying.
No, you don't have to read in a dramatic voice my quote. I'm saying that if my advice to a person that can't afford where they currently live is to move, and the response is, well, I'm not going to be able to find another job, like, well, what are you going to do at that point? Then you're fucked. There's nothing for you in life. Like, it's over. Like I don't understand what your mentality is at that point. Like, you just give up and wait for your bills to catch up with you, and then you get foreclosed on, or you file bankruptcy. Like, you have to move, and like, you should be able to find another job in this economy. Like, that's the general like line of discourse. Like, there's no other alternative other than unless you have a suggestion.
So let's say, for one, there are plenty of ways to express that sentiment without the. Can I not say the statement was antagonistic?
Yeah, of course it was. But I mean, like you've
sure. So eventually it backs off into, well, you were antagonistic. Well, you were kind of mean, right? So that's eventually where we wound up at. But I've explained my position pretty deeply here. But of course, he always cites it again as like, oh, when he said that poor people should just move, as like a response to all of our societal housing ills. Regardless of if you agree with my stated positions or not, it is insane to think that I have ever given the prescription that every single poor person should move out of every single huge city. Ian claims that I debated someone and called them a pedophile just for recommending do-it-yourself HRT. Says I have the same mental stability online as Haas or Hinkle, two tankies.
Apparently he was on, he debated a person who does DIY trans HRT stuff and called them like a pedophile or whatever, in a very not conservative tendency of calling trans people pedophiles for trying to reach out to young trans people or whatever. Or Chloe, it was Chloe on Twitter, right? The Bob posting person or whatever.
I think that's it for him. This is not why I called her a pedophile. I called her a pedophile because she had a Discord where she bragged about privately talking to over 500 minors and getting them on HRT. It's still a mistake by me, but far different than calling every person who advocates for HRT for children a pedophile. I had a conversation with Taftatch where I explicitly state that I'm fine with do-it-yourself hormones the day before Ian gives this take.
It's less dangerous form of drug use.
Yeah, I think I talked about this earlier where I said that like I don't necessarily have problems with the do-it-yourself hormones. It was the culture of people online surrounding it that made me really uncomfortable. And I gave that example of that one, there's some crazy lady that was like bragging about like I've talked to like 7 minors this month, I've gotten them doing yourself hormones. And that felt like really weird to me. If I were to draw a one-to-one comparison to drugs, I think I would actually still feel pretty much the same. I think there'd be a big difference between somebody online saying like I really wanted to try heroin, and you know what, I did it, I did blah, 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 versus somebody that's like I got 7 of my friends into heroin and I'm so proud of myself for doing it. Like I think that the feeling there is a little bit different. And then I would also say that like doing a drug, I think, is a bit different than using a drug to change into a new identity or to match like a gender expression. I think that these are fundamentally different things. But that, even all that being said, even though those two aspects are different, I don't think I'm opposed to do-it-yourself hormones, like done in a reasonable, responsible manner. I think, like I said at the beginning, in some countries you're on like a 2-year wait list for shit, and that might be like too late for a lot of people. And if you do the research and do-it-yourself hormones seem fine, then I think I'm okay with that. I just get really weird about the culture around it.
So it's not, I'm not against do-it-yourself hormones. I've never said that. Ian refers back to the misrepresentation that I called Chloe a pedophile because she advocates for kids being able to get on HRT.
Meanwhile, Destiny has not only said, but maintained for months that a friend of Keffel's is a pedophile because she advocates for like trans kids being able to get on HRT. Like calling a trans woman a pedophile because she's advocating for trans children's rights to like get access to hormones is literally a far-right talking point.
I've stated multiple times before this Ian rant that I am in favor of people pursuing do-it-yourself HRT if other options aren't available. If somebody wanted me to go through this like 5-minute segment. Yeah. Okay, I've defended multiple times the concept of access to hormones for underage people. I don't think that's a bad thing. It seems like puberty blockers is a really good thing if you've got people that are dysphoric as children. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Should there be more research? I think, yeah, of course. But in the meantime, if people want to prescribe it, that's fine. Also, I understand and recognize that there are rare cases where, well, not even necessarily rare, but there might be cases where children don't have access to those drugs and they've got to resort to like gray market stuff. Otherwise, maybe they're going to be on a waiting list for like 2 fucking years, depending where you're at. I understand that as well. The only thing that I said was it was really fucking weird to tweet out and brag about the fact you've gotten over 500 minors sex drugs. That's really fucking weird to me. I don't trust some rando on fucking Twitter to be having responsible conversations like that, to be doing the amount of due diligence they need to with zero fucking oversight. Yeah. Like, that's just really fucking weird to me. That doesn't. To be clear, I don't think there's anything wrong with helping minors get HRT, but when you're bragging about it like that, that's pretty sussy. Pretty sussy baka. My positions on this are so clear, but people still think I'm against it because of the things that Vaush says. Ian is upset here because he claims my community and I gaslight people into believing I said or did different things than I actually said.
But like Destiny and his community will do anything or say anything about any people and justify it, and they'll gaslight you into thinking that you were the one who wronged him because they have a massive victim complex. It's fucking pathetic.
This is because what I claim I've said never lines up with what Ian claims I've said, because he's often engaging in bad faith when quoting my views. If you're a member of Vaush's community, it probably does feel like I'm gaslighting you when I say I haven't done these things or they're being misrepresented, because Vaush literally does this to me constantly. I will never match the caricature or the simulacra that he's created to represent who I am. I will never align with that, because that is an object, a caricature created with no reference to anything I've ever said or done. Oh, fuck. I've never seen this tweet before. I don't even know how old this is. Apparently April, January, February, March, April. Oh. Maybe the Chloe person might actually be better faith than I than I thought. Apparently, Chloe's even said that my takes on do-it-yourself HRT are okay. His takes were actually pretty okay. Well, okay, whatever. Vaush is still white knighting on behalf of them though, because he's trying to win back credit with that community after being like considered transphobic for so long. Ian claims that my subreddit literally acts like Kiwi farmers and makes fun of their lack of adherence to reality. I should have made a whole title called Projection.
You can look over at like Destiny's subreddit and there are people over there, like they literally act like Kiwi farmers. That's not a joke. You're free to go and look at Destiny's subreddit. They just act like—
They're free to go and look, but he'll never show you.
Kiwi farmers, you can compare. They don't use slurs the way Kiwi farmers do sometimes, but in terms of their behavior and their seeming like adherence to reality, they're pretty much on board with that, so.
Adherence to reality? This is extra ironic given that Ian's subreddit is the one that was dinged by the admins for harassment. That's still true. And you have no idea what Kiwi farms, a banned term, this is literally a banned term in my chat, is if you think my community acts like Kiwi farmers. Not even close. Ian claims I was banned from Twitch because my community took a hard right shift, again with no evidence of shifting beliefs or anything.
Now, Destiny's community has taken a hard, like a pretty right-wing shift for a long time. It's probably one of the reasons he got banned from Twitch.
He will constantly say that I'm spite-driven.
Work is functional. I can engage with them and we can disagree and they can be pushed into something more ethical, you know, like the tools are there. And Destiny is like this, and I hope you all will forgive me for saying this, a brilliant person and very funny. But he is so consumed by his emotional state. When he feels hateful, it just obliterates the processes that I ever liked about him. And that's become more and more like what drives so much of his behavior. You know what I mean? So, and by how hard he's fallen off plus L plus ratio. No, I have no interest in going over him mauling. Did he post any, like, 2008 was the fault of, I don't know. I don't like playing telephone. There we go. Always classism. His politics are always going to be about supplementing his ego by finding avenues through which he can demonstrate to himself that he's smarter than other people. Classism is the most socially acceptable venue for him to do this, but I'm fairly confident that in a different world, he would be just as comfortable doing it through racism.
Ironic coming from communities that defend and use racial slurs against me because they found a one that they can use.
Destiny walked back on what he said in Israel-Palestine after talking with Dylan Burns. Lol, I was the person who asked Dylan to talk to him. What did Destiny walk back? What specific position? The only reason Destiny had the takes he did on the Israel-Palestine thing is because they're not the positions the left has had. It's the only thing, right? Like the whole world agrees that Israel is in the wrong for what they're doing to Palestine, and then Destiny goes on Twitter and he's like, guys, it's complicated. You're making it sound like non-violence coming from Palestine too. It's like the All Lives Matter shit, you know? Imagine if like the United States of America and someone's like, you don't understand, there's still black violence on cops. Cops still die to black people. You know, like that's exactly what he's doing, basically.
He never really gives any clear evidence or examples of me changing positions out of spite. My views on certain things have naturally evolved over time, but not to the right. On some things, I've moved a bit left on, like trans issues, and on a lot of procedural things, I've been moved a bit, like the Electoral College, gerrymandering, Citizens United, etc., but none of these are generally shifts to the right. Vaush in the past has agreed as much, saying that my shift is generally in rhetoric and not policy position.
Okay, so then when I ask you, like, because I'm curious what political views might have changed, it's not really my political views. It's just you think my rhetoric has gotten more pointed in a certain direction to be more antagonistic towards a certain part of the political spectrum rather than what it was before.
The view you've switched on the most, because it is mostly how you approach politics, more so than your actual hardline.
What does my approach change? How?
Oh, well, I just talked about that, how you've gotten bad faith and how you justify it by talking about how all the college
students I'm sorry. So when I think about politics, when I think about like political positions, I'm thinking of, so I'm not saying that you're wrong on this, it's just where my mind is because we have a disconnect here. So if you're saying my politics has changed insofar as like how I approach certain groups online, I agree with that 100%. But in terms of like my actual like policy position or the political positions that I sincerely and with a lot of heart argue out against other people, do you think those have changed over the past year or 2 years?
One of them, two of them, very big ones, yeah. There are probably others, but again, I don't have a list of them.
Sure, okay, which ones?
The thing, I just want to clarify, the thing you described earlier is infinitely more important to me than actual policy positions.
Okay, that's where we're different then.
So he thinks that the rhetoric part is more important than the policy positions. Even Ian's own community completely saw through his rhetoric about the Palestine claim. His subreddit also provided a better, more precise criticism of my spite-driven arguments, though I responded to those criticisms here. Let's see. Destiny challenges Vaush to debate. Oh, so we were going to debate, and then he got really scared about the Palestine-Israel stuff, probably because he doesn't know anything about it. And that was when, I don't think I put the clip in here, but he had that really weird, he was like, what? Why would I debate him on that? Oh, wait, it might have been this clip, actually. Also, pretty sure Vaush misremembered Destiny's convo with Dylan because they did not agree on everything. In fact, they had a slightly heated debate because they didn't agree on multiple things about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Have you seen Destiny's invitation? Didn't he say to debate me on Palestine or housing policy or something? What? No. I saw a clip that was provided. I don't even know if we disagree on Palestine-Israel. I had a conversation with Dylan Burns, and it seemed like we agreed on pretty much everything. And Destiny also had a convo with Dylan Burns. It seemed like we pretty much agreed on everything. I feel like Destiny and I would have the same opinion on this if he wasn't obsessed with triggering the lefties on Twitter. And as for the housing policy, am I going to debate him on whether he backpedaled in a conversation with another No. What? Ridiculous. That'd be a waste of time for both of us. I mean, what would that even be? No. Jesus.
Providing a concrete example, I haven't seen Civilization Destiny. You couldn't justify or back it up, be it Citizen Network, whatever. In fact, I see Vaush misrepresenting all his positions or agreeing with him, but saying Destiny's so wrong anyway. Like, how to run out with neo-pronouns. This is a
So this guy makes a good post. This is actually a really good post in Vaush's subreddit, and it made me think about how I view why people think I'm spy-driven. I think I actually got a lot of insight into it because of this post on the Vaush subreddit, which was basically him saying the reason, I think it was, the reason why people perceive me as changing my policy positions is because based on who I'm fighting at the time, I'll kind of like represent a different shade of an argument. So like, for instance, if I'm arguing about like trans rights and I'm talking to Keffels, somebody might think that, oh my God, he's an alt-right conservative. But if I'm arguing with like a Trump fan, people are going to think I'm like Keffels. This guy made a huge post about this, which I thought was interesting. I don't remember how I responded to it in this video, but I think I go over my response to it here. I hope I bring up that Citizens United thing comes up again, right? I think so. I hope it does. Ian claims I bully trans people on Twitter. He then talks about how he followed Synth on Twitter, then unfollowed her because she was a DGG stan, but then refollowed her once she became critical of me again.
I don't know. It's whatever. Would you consider his take on trans athletes actually transphobic? I don't know I don't know. I only see him on Twitter like bullying trans people, and like I only see trans like little trans accounts like going private or like freaking out because they get like transphobes in their comment replies because Destiny quote tweeted them, and a ton of far right people follow Destiny on Twitter for like targets to like engage with. You know what I mean? I don't really know. Yeah, just I don't know. His community's gotten pretty far right. Oh, it's to like in their comment replies because I only see trans like little trans athletes actually transphobic. I don't know. I don't know. I only see him on Twitter like bullying trans people, and like I only see trans like little trans accounts like going private or like freaking out because they get like transphobes in their comment replies because Destiny quote tweeted them, and a ton of far right people follow Destiny on Twitter for like targets to like engage with. You know what I mean? I don't really know. Yeah, just I don't know. His community's gotten pretty far right. Oh, you know, Danny, or I think Synth was here is her name. I followed her for a while on Twitter before unfollowing her because she was an insufferable like DGG stan. But then I refollowed her on stream actually because of a horse dick joke. You know, I'm consistent. Destiny like banned her from his chat a couple of days ago because she was pointing out that his behavior was attracting like a far right audience that was engaging in transphobia unironically, and she just got banned for that. Okay, am I misremembering, or did he not say like banned for posting child pornography?
I do all that in my chat. I always like banned for child porn. That means don't unban. And I'm pretty sure he knows that because he's a huge fan of my stream for a long time. But it's kind of funny that, well, I unfollowed her because she was a DGG stan, then I refollowed her once she had a falling out. I do bully trans people on Twitter, but because they're stupid, not because they're trans. I bully everyone on Twitter. It's a bit ironic, given that Ian has demonstrated the same frustration with minority groups getting more space for arguments and held to lower standards.
To this, if we care about introspection, you have to give me more than Professor Flowers didn't say the things she said because she said other things that weren't the things she said. I need more than that. Should I not? Should I take everyone then at their word, every criticism? Mel, the genocide denier, is this a person for whom I must hold water? Luna Oy, a nationalist? I mean, where does that line stop? It seems to stop a lot farther out with minority groups than it does with white people. It's a concern that I've noticed. And if you I'm sure understand from your presence in the online left that there is often a performative, what would you call it? A performative giving of space to minority groups. Not to say it's not good to do that, but a performative one which is about, you know, virtue signaling, essentially. I think it's an issue because it means those people are being held to a lower standard with regards to the quality of their perspectives, when all of us, of course, should be subject to criticism for the things that we say.
Interesting. It's a bit ironic given that Ian has demonstrated the same frustration with minority groups getting more space for arguments and to lower standards. He's even said the exact same thing about the online trans communities as recently as September of 2021.
Myself here. So wait, hold on. One more time, just so we can get all the arguments. Now that you have the full context, okay?
The left community online, particularly the LGBT community, is cancerous as fuck. If you're not an idiot, you will agree with me on this. If you have any fucking experience with online like LGBT or leftist discourse, you know it's cancerous as fuck.
So I do still think this is true. I probably wouldn't phrase it in this way. And in the broader context, it's yikesy, but the statement on its own here I think is true. So, you know, whatever.
Synth has essentially admitted to just clout farming me for followers and constantly farms my DGG community for OnlyFans subscriptions. She's literally said, Synth, ha, I see the thread and what you wrote to him. First of all, why did you write to him like that? You know he does that and then you continue to attack him. Just log off or delete Twitter at this point if it makes you feel so bad. He says every time there's a new Twitter drama, this sort of you attack him, he shoots back. He doesn't care about your problems. Synth says, oh, I know. I'm clout farming him. He should attack me more so that I can get more clout. It gives me more money. Someone says, dog, if you're having actual panic attacks over this shit and still goading it on, it makes it look like you're lying about everything. And then these are logs where every time after drama she'd come into chat, post nudes, sub to my OnlyFans, I need money. I have an OnlyFans if you just want to spend money on me. Sub to my OnlyFans, I post every day. Please sub to me, I'm poor and I'll love you forever. Also, if you want to sub now, I have actual content daily. Others seem to attempt to clout farm off of fights with me too. Natikska or whatever, this weird person, comes into my chat to make a comment and then immediately it bothers me, clips a video out of it, publishes on their channel, then runs to Ian to have a conversation about the event. This person has their own incredibly contentious past, changing the name from Scrimzox/Nathorix after allegations came out of them, encouraging fans as young as 12 to send them nude pictures. None of this mattered though. Feuding with me, was enough to get a follow, a coveted follow, from both Ian and Kethels. Both of them followed Natikska after they had their fight with me. Wow. Not spite driven though. Ian uncritically reads a comment from his chat, doesn't bother to fact check, leads to misinterpreting my views to his audience. He tries to claim that he doesn't like playing telephone, but he'll move on to character assassination as though the prior claims were true.
To go over Destiny's coverage on Folding Ideas NFT video. He took issue with Folding Ideas NFT video?
Wait, real quick, let me check something.
He goes on an unhinged rant about how 2008 was the fault of the people taking the loans and was hostile right from the get-go. He
goes on an unhinged rant about how in 2008 it was the fault of people taking the loans.
And does a lot of classist shit. He couldn't finish the vid because his orbiters went on a stream to call him out. Really true? I'm consistently astonished by how hard he's fallen off plus L plus ratio.
It's interesting that he almost pretends to have a modicum of good faith here. Was that really true? Huh. He is fucking evil.
No, I have no interest in going over him malding. Did he pose any, like, 2008 was the fault of I don't know. I don't like playing telephone. There we go. It's always classism. His politics are always going to be about supplementing his ego by finding avenues through which he can demonstrate to himself that he's smarter than other people. Classism.
This is the, now he just, off of the last chatter's comment, will go on to talk about how I'm a classist without even evaluating whether anything I said before was actually said. My original take regarding the housing crisis was that the incentives were bad for every single actor in the housing market and that everyone acted with impropriety, not that it was solely the fault of homeowners. Reality is everything he's saying is correct. There were bad, like, the bank's incentives here were perverse. The credit rating agencies probably did fuck up when they were rating some of these bonds. This whole incentive structure was probably bad, but people also bought homes that they couldn't afford. Like, consumers were dumb as fuck as well. Now, if you want to preface this by saying, and you know what, I probably would, I would say, you know what, I'm not gonna blame consumers at all because I expect consumers to be literal brain dead monkey apes that respond so incredibly predictably to financial incentives that if I were to pay them enough money they would sell me their fucking children's kidneys, then sure, that's fine. That's probably true, but it just did not bring that up at all and to make it sound like, oh, the only people who did anything wrong, like it was just a bunch of poor homeowners, poor buyers. No, they were people looking to get rich quick, which was a lot of them, to get their first home that they couldn't rightfully afford, which was a lot of them, and they got caught in the middle of a bubble with their pants down, and they got fucked by the bubble pop as well. Now we can say that we expect the average consumer to be a dumb fuck, which is fine, again, I'll do that. But to totally leave that out is a little, like, they had a lot, they stood to gain a lot as well from this whole fucking crisis, just as much. True. A lot of consumers did stand to gain a lot and did gain a lot in the housing crisis. Same as the banks had perverse incentives to sell mortgages that they knew people couldn't afford. People also had incentives to take mortgages that they couldn't afford, knowing that they could flip the house later because of how insane the housing market was with the constant increase of housing prices. not solely blaming. And I even say here that, yeah, it's probably not the majority fault of consumers because you don't expect consumers to be incredibly financially savvy. Now, I think I said not like dumb fucks or whatever, but that is true. It's not solely the fault of homeowners. No one else can hear this fast. Wait, was that too quick? You're fine. You should get used to hearing me talk fast. Fuck you. Ian has claimed that Mr. Girl is a pedophile and that my community and I defend him since I'm becoming like Sargon of Akkad who defended Amos E. He's claimed several times that my community is full of pedophile defenders.
Destiny, early Christmas morning, was in my subreddit defending that Mr. Girl pedophile guy against my fans.
Can you flip houses without repaying your loan? Kind of, yes, because you're gaining a massive amount of equity. If I buy $100,000 house and a year later that house is worth $200,000, I can move up or buy another house by selling that one. I get $100,000 in equity that I've gained because of the appreciation of the underlying asset, and then I can flip that loan and make a ton of money off of it. Yeah.
Defending pedophiles is just part of Destiny's path onto becoming identical to 2016 Sargon of Akkad. It's you know, maybe they're jumping on that horse a little bit faster. Is DGG saying Mr. Girl? Yeah, there are a lot of people defending it apparently over on the Reddit. Why don't you post the debate in the main channel? Because the debate.
But yeah, the Destiny's community seems to be engaging in some kind of fetishization of the idea of owning your takes and like being forthcoming and biting the bullet, which is interesting to me because they never seem to feel that way about anything Demonmama has ever done. You know, Demonmama bites bullets like crazy. She owns positions that I disagree with remarkable tenacity. So do a lot of very left people on Twitter. You know, there are tons of lefties who will instantly bite bullets on stuff that the Destiny crowd disagrees with. But do they say, "Hey, I disagree with you, but I'm impressed by how well you bite the bullet"? Does Destiny's community ever look at a left-leaning person like an anarchist or whatever and go, "Well, I disagree with you, but I am impressed by how how consistent you're being, and even though your values are different to mine, I think that your ability to just own it is good." No, they don't do that. But if you're a pedophile, if you're talking about how you want to fuck 10-year-olds. Now that's something they've got respect for. It's just anti-left spite. That's really all there is to it.
Mr. Girl's never said he wants to fuck 10-year-olds, by the way. This is a particularly silly example, given I had a massive debate and disagreement with Amos E, an actual pedophile, and never defended his point of view. I had a pretty big debate with Amos E. I completely disagreed with him the entire time. It's also annoying when Ian himself has made some fairly edgy jokes surrounding pedophilia. A modular sex bot with adaptable components. From the waist down, it's 26. From the stomach up, it's 12. Hanami can ride its dick while Desiderata fucks it, or Desiderata? I don't know how to pronounce the name. Fucks its face. I will draw this. Everyone is happy. I will not actually draw this.
Okay, next question. Simulated child porn lolly stuff?
I think it's pretty sussy.
What's that?
I think that if you have an interest in that sort of stuff, you should definitely be checking yourself as to why. You know, like, the thing that really bothers me about this shit, apart from the fact that anytime you want to look at like hentai on a hentai site, you have to like negate the tag lolly and thus 50% of the site's content. The thing that bothers me is people who pretend there's no relationship whatsoever between like drawn lolly shit and actual attraction to children. Of course there's a relationship between those things. Ridiculous to pretend otherwise. So they need to be aware of that, if anything.
Nice right now? We've all jerked it to lolly at some point or another. We've all... Well, you don't have a penis. We have at some point in our lives been going fucking crazy on some hentai site, and we've been fucking stroking as hard and fast as we can, and then after we nut, we go back, look over our history tab, and we go like, oh, jeez. Oh, boy. Some of these girls looked pretty young. Okay? I don't give a fuck. All right?
Okay, next question. Simulated child porn lolly stuff?
I think it's...
Did I like the same thing twice? Oh, it's the same like. Ian claims I am a creepy, obsessed stalker in the same way that Anna was a stalker to me, seemingly ignoring the fact that we're both large content creators occupying a very similar space talking about these same political issues.
That's the Destiny Anna Frills thing. I don't know anything about it. I know that she's like some creepy stalker or whatever. Everything I've seen from Anna Frills makes me think that she's like legit, like creepy as fuck. Like super, super bad. I will say that given the fact that Destiny's behavior towards me has been pretty unironically creepy too, I do find it funny, you know?
Vaush is living in the mirror dimension? Yeah, maybe.
That like, it would hold water on something like that, but not reflect in his own behavior.
Apparently I'm stalking him.
He gets sick of chat bringing up Destiny? Not really. I mean, Destiny's clear only goal at streaming right now, what he thinks of when he wakes up and falls asleep, is to get my attention. You can cry about that assessment if he wants, but holy mother of God, I've never had a content creator obsess over me that much. Outside of maybe, like, Kiwi Farms adjacent types who, like, every day they'd stream for 6 hours saying, like, this is why Vaush is worse than Hitler, except Hitler wasn't that bad, really, you know?
Historical data.
Yeah, it's like stalker shit. It's really fucking weird, you know?
I'm a stalker. This other political commentator that comments on my shit is stalking me. Please make him stop. Please, I just want to say things unchallenged. I don't want any critical analysis of anything I'm saying. Please, just stop talking about me.
Like when he jumped onto a panel to talk with me, and then like he spent the remaining 2 hours of the panel.
I jump onto panels at night all the time to argue with people. By the way, I used to do that all the time on Twitch. A lot of people in my chat would realize at like 2 a.m. like, what the fuck, Dustin's on a panel. It wasn't just because he's, well, it's because he was saying stupid things on it. But anytime I hear somebody anywhere saying dumb shit on a panel that I can hop onto, I always hop on.
Willingly, silently, like just sitting there.
Because the rest of the panel was Stardust asking questions like, how big of a dick would you suck if it belonged with your dad? Okay? That was true. And awkward. Ian would reference this claim again in a few weeks, saying that me covering his content is me being creepy and abusive.
Burying the hatchet thing isn't going to happen. I find it weird when you guys say stuff like that because I don't know, like he's like a creepy stalker. It's not like we have a few petty disagreements that we could overcome for the good of the left. He has relentlessly gone out of his way to be like creepily like borderline attempting to be abusive.
Abusive. Calling me creepy and abusive. Ian claims that my defense of Citizens United is that it's complicated.
He said he used big words yesterday, said Sam Cedar in the Coast, the Majority Report, makes shit up about Citizens United. Well, he's like really on defending Citizens United. I've seen his defense of it too. He's like, well, don't you know it would be complicated for us to not have Citizens United? Lefties don't understand. It's complicated. All lefties have a very simplistic understanding of Citizens United, as opposed to my very nuanced take, which is that Citizens United is complicated. And I don't know how things could ever be any other way, even though things were another way for a very long time and then changed. But I don't know how they could ever have been any other way. You guys have seen him? Am I summing that up correctly? That's his take on Citizens United, right? That's his...
Citizens United is a complicated case, but that's not the only thing I've said about it. I've discussed the issues surrounding the case multiple times on stream, even with educated people about it. I've had lots of conversations related to Citizens United. Obviously, the dumbest... This is Eaton Hirsch, the author of Politics for Power. He came in to talk about like a lot of complicated political issues. I don't know, watch like every time I talked about it. But like, yeah, I've had like a lot of conversations about stuff related to Citizens United and the complicatedness of figuring out lobbying and super PACs and, you know, who should be able to advertise what and, you know, was the bipartisan act or whatever, was it okay? Like, But the ultra-ironic thing is Ian literally agreed with me that it's a complicated case that's hard to decide. To Citizens United. Because I hate it. I really do. I just don't see a way around it.
Fuck the Constitution.
No, I don't care. So let me explain my point. I don't care about the Constitution. I don't fuck the Constitution. Amen. I don't care about the Constitution. Okay, but like, when you're saying that like any type of advertising that you do, it could be pro or against a certain campaign. When you say that we're going to ban that type, like around an election season, is that something that you're intrinsically okay with? Would that like extend to like our streams? Like, how do you reconcile that in your head? Where do you draw that line? I'm curious.
So that's a really tough one. I acknowledge and I agree with people who say this is a more nuanced issue than a lot of leftists will give it credit for. I think that right now the consequences of Citizens United are disastrous. I think
literally says it's a more complicated issue than what most leftists will give it credit for. Almost verbatim my take. But then later on will roast me for the same thing. Ian admits that he didn't watch my debate with the Surfs TV and completely misrepresents my argument about Google requiring trans people to wear dead names on their badges, claiming I just didn't think it was a big deal to dead name people, after literally saying he didn't even watch the debate.
Stupid. I actually didn't watch his debate with Lance the other day. Did you know, this is, by the way, I'm totally poisoning the well here, but did you know while debating with Lance was making the argument that like Google was still like reactionary or whatever, you know, okay? Lance pointed out that at Google, you need to get a legal name change if you're trans for your name card to be updated. So if you're a trans lady and you've got Michael on your name card, like you need a legal name change for them to confirm the change in the thing. And Destiny, I swear to God, I actually looked, I did double check to make sure it's real. Destiny, he said, is that really a big deal? So we're beyond the, truly beyond the pale here. Bit on the left. Anyway, I didn't break my rule because I was on that panel for 2 hours before he jumped on.
My argument here has to do with the idea that you probably can't just put whatever name you want on a name badge for security purposes.
For example, Google, while Google puts the the rainbow logo on their icons and all that kind of stuff, they are actively forcing their employees to have to use dead names on their ID tags if they haven't been able to change them for whatever reason, usually economically, through the state level. So that to me is incredibly fucked up. So I think it's
how is that incredibly fucked up?
Forcing employees to use dead names on their ID tags?
If they haven't gotten it changed with the state, my guess is this is probably a policy almost everywhere, right? How do you have people that just give whatever name they want if it's not registered anywhere with a state body? I'm genuinely asking you. I don't know. I haven't heard about this issue, but that sounds like common sense to me. Of course, you have to go by your state registered name.
Because it's okay. Well, first off, it's not something that every single person can afford, right? The ability to change your name is usually something that's privileged for people who can afford to do that. Secondly, the ID tags themselves. We're not talking about just verification badges. We're talking about what they have to wear as part of their everyday getup. It was something that was like spread around through the alphabet union right now.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Your company badge doesn't mean shit, right? Like, I'm not talking about like.
If you work at Google, you should. Okay. Also, I don't know if I bring this up, but I hate that your company badge doesn't mean shit. I have very limited corporate experience, and even I know that, like at the casino, your badge is your ID thing. Sometimes you use it to swipe into places. Security will look at your name tag. At the casino, if you swapped badges with somebody, you got caught for that, you would get fired instantly. You would get fired. You would just get fired. You can't just swap your name badge. Those badges have sometimes, and I'm sure they're probably even more sophisticated now because this was back in like 2008. But
be able to afford a name change. Okay, number one. Okay, number two. Even if you can't, like, I'm sorry, but like in terms of how security and everything works, you probably need to have like actual name badges and shit. Like, I'm sorry, like, I don't know how you can think that you can just not do that. Like,
there's so many things here. Like, okay, what if they just got hired, for example? Like, they've just started. They're not making the Google salary yet. They've just gotten the job of their dreams, but they also don't want to be called by their dead names anymore because that shit really fucks with them.
Then unfortunately, I'm sorry. I know that it's everybody's dream to work at Google, but I guess you're one of the 1% of the 1% who was able to get whatever prerequisite education or computer background you needed, but don't have the money to change your name. So wait a month or two or save up. Or, I don't know. Like, this is such a weird.
Also, how much does it cost to change your name? It's got to be like $100 or something. Maybe it's more than that. I don't know.
Hill to die on. Like, you can resolve this after working at Google for 2 or 3 months. It sounds like such a non-issue. Like.
Well, okay. Well, this is one of the reasons why I think them using
probably depends on the state you live in, I would guess. Oh, $400 in California? Okay. Maybe in some states it's more expensive. My argument here has to do with the idea that you probably can't just put whatever name you want on a name badge for security purposes. The extra irony about this is that it ended up not being Google at all who required this. It was a security company that Google was subcontracting for security work. So the company that was doing it was actually a security G4S that did security. It was a company that did security. The name tag is probably pretty important there. That would be my guess. But remember, Ian's summary of that conversation, that Lance, by the way, would actually concede to me at the end because he didn't even know who was being impacted, that it was a subcontractor of Google that did security. Ian, I'm pretty sure Lance conceded to me at the end of that. This was Ian's summary of that take of mine.
Stupid. I actually didn't watch his debate with Lance the other day. Did you know? This is, by the way, I'm totally poisoning the well here. But did you know while debating with Lance was making the argument that like Google was still like reactionary or whatever? Okay. Lance pointed out that at Google you need to get a legal name change if you're trans for your name card to be updated. So if you're a trans lady and you've got Michael on your name card, like you need a legal name change for them to confirm the change in the thing. And Destiny, I swear to God, I actually looked. I did double check to make sure it's real. Destiny, he said, "Is that really a big deal?"
I'm sorry. Just whatever. Ian claims I only bring up negative experiences to get dunks on other people because I brought up Byron's suicide in an argument about why social workers can be scary to people who have been committed to mental institutions before.
The funniest thing, though, is how obviously mad he gets when people like take sympathy for his negative experiences, because it's very clear he only brings up his negative experiences to get dunks on other people and not because he actually wants to share in any empathy with the situation.
I don't want people treating you like a victim for anything ever. I've said that 1,000,000 times before, and that's not even an uncommon experience for people that have been victims of different types of things. I don't know how you could say something so mind-numbingly fucking clueless like that.
Because it's very clear he only brings up his negative experiences to get dunks on other people and not because he actually wants to share in any empathy with the situation. Like how he brought up Reckful's suicide, a suicide of a close friend of his, to me, as part of an argument that social workers are scarier than police officers when doing mental health checks. That's a real thing that happened, by the way.
Ian claims I only bring this up to get dunks on other people. I brought up Byron's suicide in an argument about why social workers can be scary to people who've been committed to mental institutions. I was not bringing this up for a dunk. I was bringing it up to reinforce why social workers can be so scary to people. Ian later claims I'm making stuff up regardless.
Health professionals because they are so fucking afraid of being committed to an institution. This is why Byron jumped out a fucking window and killed himself instead of trying to find more help, because he had one bad experience where he was committed to a mental institution and he never wanted to talk to anybody related to it. It wouldn't surprise me. I know that they can, but I don't know if most people know that. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody saw. You can laugh all you want, but I don't think that most people see a cop.
Cops are the ones who bring you to the hospital for the detainment.
Ian misrepresents my contention with Philosophy Tube, claiming I was only upset because she implied she needed to go on a renter strike. He even brings up the exact same Bernie Sanders comparison that I shot down in our prior conversation.
I know we talked a little bit about your earlier debates with Destiny, but out of your modern debates with Destiny, pick one. What do you think is a highlight? What do you think you could have done better?
It would definitely be the one over Philosophy Tube, I think, because of how stupid it was. Destiny was arguing that Philosophy Tube, Abigail, was a hypocrite and like destroying the left or whatever, because she advocated that people go on a renter strike in a way that implied that she also needed to go on a renter strike even though she makes a decent amount of money. Which is like imagine if Bernie Sanders said, "We need a workers' revolution," and Destiny was like, "We? Bernie Sanders, you're a millionaire. Why are you lying to your fans by suggesting that they need it as much as you do?" Like, that's literally the tier that it was on. So that's
literally the tier that was on. I had literally already had a conversation with Ian about this, where he agreed with me that Philosophy Tube's tweet was unsavory.
Pandemic, Ignoring the fact that they're literally doing this to somebody that is probably making far less money than they do?
I don't necessarily have an issue with people calling for a rent strike and using collective language and doing
Stop. That's not what we're talking about. Oh my
I do
God.
think that it's bad that they hide their income, though. I think that's the big definer here. I think that if you show your income, then I think that's totally
This is not what I'm saying is she is making it sound like she literally won't be paying rent due to the pandemic, ignoring the fact that the landlord makes less than them. I would say that this is a trick into making somebody think that they're on their side. This is what I'm referring to. I think that my first statement is fair.
Side?
What?
Wouldn't she be on their side? I mean, she's a lefty. What do you mean is she not?
As in, has the same struggles, has the same class problems, has the same problem affording rent, when that's not the case.
There is definitely an implication here that they can't afford their rent that I do find a bit unsavory. This is why I really wish they would show their income. But the general, we should do X language, I think is perfectly acceptable.
Stop. I don't think you made a compare. Hold on. I have to do this because I can't let you get the rhetorical wins. I'm sorry.
Why are you accusing me of rhetorical wins?
Because you are. Because you're doing. No. You might not realize you're doing it, but I'm listening for it now and I'm hearing it more. Okay. Earlier, you used the comparison of Bernie Sanders. When Bernie says something like, "We need free healthcare. We need free blah blah blah," Bernie Sanders is not presenting himself as a fellow poor. In fact, I'm almost positive that I've heard Bernie Sanders say, I think word for word, the average American should have the same healthcare that I have in the Senate. I'm pretty sure he said that word for word. I think I've heard Bernie say that. So your comparison. So stop. Yes. So this is why I'm calling this a rhetorical win, is because it's a disingenuous comparison. When Bernie Sanders says we need to do this, that's different. I don't think Bernie Sanders would come out and say we need to go on strike and stop paying our mortgage. I'm writing a letter to my landlord saying I'm not going to pay the mortgage. I don't think Bernie Sanders would fucking say that. That's what I'm talking about. You can try to divert, okay? But Abigail's tweet here.
Come on,
Abigail's tweet here. Abigail's tweet here is not comparable to Bernie Sanders' statement. Abigail's tweet here is a trick into thinking that she is on your side. That is my first statement. I think it has been sufficiently justified.
I don't like the use of the term "your side" because it implies that she has malicious intent or politically disagrees. If you wanted to say the language of this tweet gives the mistaken impression that she's struggling more financially than she probably actually is, then I think I would agree with that. Would you mind this tweet if she had her income publicly known and it was something that she referred to?
So he essentially agrees with my complaint here, but then he will misrepresent it later, saying, using the exact same Bernie Sanders analogy that I literally shoot down in my exact conversation with him. Ian claims I've only attacked Demonmama, Vermin, and Conyer because they're in his community.
Here to target because he'll be that desperate. I mean, he's literally done that. He's attacked people in my community because they're in my community. When he attacks Demonmama, it's always, framed in reference to me, like, oh, you're my thrice descendant because you come from Vaush, and Vaush comes from me.
My first conversation with Demonmama had nothing to do with Vaush. It had to do with language being used on Twitter. You think
we're back to square one.
This is this. My second conversation with Demonmama had to do with her trying to paint the Scrub King as an incel. It had nothing to do with Ian. My issues with his ex-girlfriend and roommate had to do with them constantly calling me names, calling me a rapist, and trying to get me banned from Twitch. Every day, I am more and more certain that Rapestiny hates trans people.
Which, real quick, we have just done a stock on our own site. The only time that has ever used the word rape at all was talking about a story that happened to them. So, once again, motherfucking liar, literally making up nonsense. Just making it up. He just made it up. Once again, as always, caught in 4K. Oh, you checked further. They called Destiny Rapestiny 3 days ago. I don't fucking care. That is not an accusation of rape.
I'll watch that clip as many times as I can. Ian claims I've kicked him out of my community because he was a lefty. This is explicitly why I went about the sexual harassment allegations in the way that I did, to avoid exactly this type of bias, untrue claim.
Systems that right-leaning people do. Now, I would argue that characterization is very disingenuous to begin with, but whatever. We're not here to talk about Destiny. He's been trying to purge lefty elements from his community. Some think that my ex-decision from the community has something to do with that. Yeah. And by some people, I mean me. I think that. I think that he acted uncharitably towards me because he was sick of having leftists in his community. And I was a well-known leftist in his community.
That's true. He was a well-known leftist, which is exactly why I went about that confrontation in the exact way that I did, to avoid exactly those types of claims. Ian claims we were never friends.
Your relationship with Destiny is kind of cute and sad. It's only sad if you have some weird parasocial thing. Destiny and I were never friends. I like shitposting in his chat. I kind of probably always will, but it's not like some weird emotional thing. It's really funny. Chat cares more about the Vaush Destiny relationship than Vaush does. Yeah, but that's a consequence of parasocial.
This seems like it's probably not true. There's like a lot of like random comments that he's made over time.
It was really cute how Destiny called you his buddy. Oh, Destiny calls everyone buddy, so. The real Sadstiny stuff, or the real Depressdny content, is that in one of the later YouTube videos that was made from the VOD of me discussing stuff with Destiny, he had like some really flattering, what was it exactly? Wait, hold on.
Where I had flattering things to say about him, and he's happy about it.
This was from 2017, I think. Yeah. Talking with my buddy Irishladdie. This is one of my really left-leaning buddies, a full-on anti-capitalist sociology major. I always appreciate my conversations with this guy as he can present his thoughts very concisely, and we disagree on quite a bit. Really respectful, you know? Really, Dairy Cypher? That's actually pretty cute. And before I wrote that.
Dairy Cypher. Oh, that was cute. Oh, Vaush, one of the first few times I heard about you, I thought you two were school. Oh, cute in terms of me complimenting him. Destiny, it's your friend. Want to play League together? Maybe that's just a meme comment, I guess. He would like draw comics of us. This feels really weird now. I'm sorry, but maybe that's just a meme. He would post pictures of us together. Now I do feel like Anna. And he would draw extensive comics of us together. Friendstony. Now, maybe that was also just a meme thing. Who knows? But we were never friends. That's just some weird parasocial thing. He's claimed over and over and over again that I am classist and have no solutions for anything, despite the fact that I religiously go over policy or research on stream constantly. I don't think I have to watch him calling me classist. We already heard him do it like 3 times. Notice how when I say we've already heard that, we've actually watched the video and heard him say it, and I'm not just referring to a false caricature that I've said with no evidence. This is also extra ironic, as Ian has admitted many of his solutions only exist so long as a socialist revolution happens. He also tries to gaslight me in this very same convo, claiming he didn't bring up my net worth to attack my positions.
Productivity of our
So you
industry.
have no policy suggestions. Why would you accuse me of that?
Well,
When
that's
you're literally
because,
the one here saying
because
you don't
that's
have
the
any policy
difference.
suggestions.
I don't think solutions need to only be policy-based. I think that broader ideological movements can also be a great way of changing the way countries
Which broader ideological movement is going to help us with climate change?
Well, a populist socialist movement would probably lead towards a great deal of class antagonism that might manifest in some way in the ability to electorally restrict some of these businesses. That happened back at the turn of the century, back in the 1900s, 2000s.
Oh, sorry. Oh, fuck. I fell asleep. I'm sorry.
Why are you?
Wait.
Utopia?
I know, you understand that when I'm having a conversation with you, I'm not bringing this up. When you're having a conversation, you are bringing this up. I don't throw the white whatever bullshit liberal at you. You are throwing my net worth at me.
Wait, no, I didn't. I just said it on stream. You said the white thing on stream. Directly to you.
I did not say.
Oh, he's just saying, oh, I just brought up your net worth. I wasn't saying that that makes you a classist or anything.
That Vaush is just another white liberal whatever bullshit. You did say you brought up my net worth in some way.
Is it just a personal thing then? Okay, so wait. I don't think it's a matter of being demeaned. I think it's just a fact that people's material circumstances influence how they tend to behave, whether that be race or
then we're
wealth.
in the same class then, dog. So what does that say about your utopia or your ideas about your class struggle or whatever?
Well, it would mean that if I did end up making a tremendous amount of money or more.
Ian claimed I was only victim blaming when talking about the Prime Kai's allegations and that all of my arguments were conspiratorial. He also alleges that if you're a workplace victim of sexual harassment, you have power over your boss.
Destiny came on. And I'll get this out of the way now because I know everyone wants my opinion. Destiny and Dylan argued for about 3 hours, and there was basically nothing distinguishing Destiny's behavior from that of a common victim blamer. His arguments were bad, if eloquently delivered. He came in to discredit and attack Kat. He did so with all the standard tropes. You know, she strung him along by not being forthcoming about his harassment. She's clout sharking, you know. She actually liked him, so he got mixed signals. Yeah, he actually said it was woman tactics at one point. At one point, he actually said, if you're a victim of workplace sexual harassment, you have power over your boss. Like if your boss harasses you and you're a woman, which that is some content creator skull if I've ever heard it, but...
This is a gross mischaracterization of what I said, which was in fact that Kat, the woman involved, knew Prime was into her and admitted to playing along to further her career, which does indeed make the situation more complicated. The work relationship without turning them down or to continue to work, is the worker manipulating the boss then? I don't know, you have to look into it. It's pretty complicated. That could go either way. Generally, it's bad of the boss to proposition an employee. That's almost always the case. It's almost always the case that the boss shouldn't proposition the employee. But in terms of like how it actually plays out, like, I don't know. The problem is that Prime was hitting on Katarina by her own admission from the moment they started interacting. And Katarina, by her own admission, said it would be profitable and beneficial for her career to essentially play along. So like, and that's in her own words. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a rough one. I even say here that it's almost always bad for a boss to proposition a worker. And he claimed that I was saying that so what I just said there, his characterization of that was, if you're a workplace victim of sexual harassment, you have power over your boss. That was his characterization of that. He would then later claim that he was correct about the entire Prime Kai situation.
I was wrong about Prime Kai. Oh, I saw this. This was yesterday. I thought you were referring to some new development. No, as far as I understand it, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to turn this into some kind of you know, ego boost. Wasn't I right about everything? The underlying inappropriate behavior Prime Kai engaged in against Kat seemed inappropriate, and he apologized for it. The problem is Dylan went public with it too early and ended up fronting a bunch of claims that he couldn't support. And then later, those claims ended up being facile because it turns out Samantha the Banana didn't communicate with Prime Kai in the way that she had said that she did to Kat. So my take of the behavior evidenced here is like fairly cringy, but not like super terrible, and I need to wait on evidence for more, ended up being completely correct. The EGG is going to hate that statement. Yeah, I saw like Destiny fans who were hardcore raging over me when everything I said was completely correct. And I didn't have to change any of my statements or beliefs. Like it all ended up being true. But a lot of them were like, I can't believe you said Prime Kai was a sexual predator. And it's like, wow, we're not even pretending to know what we're talking about anymore. But okay. Anyway, it seems like a pretty unfortunate situation all around. You literally said he sexually harassed her? Yeah. Yeah, from what I saw and from talking with Prime Kai, and according to Prime Kai's statement where he apologized, yeah. But that's not like end of the world. And that's
I don't think that was the case, that he admitted to sexually harassing her.
It's also not like the worst thing that could have happened. The worst thing that could have happened would have been Prime Kai deliberately sexually harassing with the intent, the malicious intent of exploiting her social lack of mores, which was never proven, so.
There is a belief that I would bully rape victims, very popularly endorsed by Ian's subreddit, probably because he himself said I engage in rape apologia. His subreddit will say this constantly. BetDGG would look at a rape victim and say, you're just trying to get clout by coming forward. Wait, this sounds familiar. Despite how many like sexual assaultment claims I've covered on stream and victims I've supported through that.
I'm amazed that he wasn't banned for the rape apologia arc, you know?
And like he said this, he's used this rape apologia comment. I think we've heard it like 5 times at this point. Counter-sue. One incredibly irritating aspect of Ian is that he engages in behavior that I'd be crucified for, especially by his community, if I were to engage in anything remotely similar. Many of the things he's actually done are even worse than the things he's falsely claiming I do. While Ian was fighting against Kat Black over their personal issues, it wasn't enough to prove that what she was saying was incorrect. He also had to label her as a stalker, an abuser, and again an abuser, similar to him labeling me an abuser and stalker just for reviewing his political content.
Mama debate? Wait, she's watching my live stream debates and she doesn't follow me? I think, has she been like stalking me? I never would have believed that based on her behavior over the past few years, but she has acted so crazy over the past few, like, days that it's, like, really fucking weird. Like, holy, like, I don't care about you, I don't care about you, I worry she's going to start, like, posting that she doesn't even care, like, that I live at my address, you know? Like, holy shit. Jesus, fuck. Wait, I think DM convo means direct message? No, wait, wasn't that? You know, I've said this a lot, but I really feel like Kat Black comes across like an abuser here. Anyway. Out of curiosity, you're asking me to respect you and you clearly don't respect me, not really. Holy shit. She's such a fucking abuser, dude. Holy fuck. And I said, there was never any way at all to make you believe anything other. I'd be listening to Kat Black then, since she is, in this case, the abuser and the oppressor. Like, this is the problem. The only way to answer this, the only way to really solve this problem, is to point out that I need to have some kind of independent decision-making ability.
Similar to him labeling me an abuser and stalker just for reviewing his political content. He's claimed I'm transphobic merely for quote tweeting and fighting with trans accounts on Twitter, yet here he is blowing up a smaller trans creator while simultaneously using stereotypically transphobic insults against them like mentally ill. Ian has talked multiple times about using his community to brigade. He's mentioned trying an underhanded way to effect an outcome regarding other Reddit communities.
As you guys all know, the entirety of leftist Reddit is controlled by a core team of moderators, most of whom are tankies, who despise me and just auto-ban basically anyone who speaks positively of me. I don't have a solution for this problem. It's possible that in the future we can attempt to do like coordinated, you know, like, I don't know, mod mail. Nah, that sounds super dorky. Nah, that's dumb. I don't really know what to do about it, to be honest. There might be some way, some underhanded way of affecting an outcome. It's not like I don't have the influence to do this, you know.
He's encouraged people to publicly shame ContraPoints.
All right, thank you guys. Keep it up though. Don't get complacent. The more of you are in the replies being like, that's not what's happening right here. Like, this is necessary, okay? Publicly shame her into changing her mind on this. All right, thank you.
He's told his audience to go nuclear on Riley, an online trans content creator, and to call her whatever you want.
Just want to see if I can't find that clip sometime. I think that, I think I'm comfortable, though, that if it does turn out that after that conversation, Riley's takeaway is that I said it would be okay to have sex in public, I'm okay with going nuclear on Riley. We no longer need any respect for her. We can sort of shame people for even continuing to give a fuck about her. You can call her whatever you want. I don't care. There's absolutely no charity reserved for people who behave that way. Absolutely none.
He even gave cover for people going after her law degree, with Demonmama also chiming in to say that she shouldn't be a lawyer as well, after communities began to spam phone calls to get Riley disbarred.
The board's like that, right?
Oh, and then this is Vaush giving justification, I think, for why it's okay to go after RGR's fucking bar license. Bar license? Attorney license? What would you call it? Her qualification for the bar? I don't know what you call it. Go after her to try to make it so she can't get certified from the bar. Like,
I mean, I think. Now, you could say it's like esoteric and this online drama doesn't like perfectly describe her value elsewise, but I think there's at least an argument to be had here. Dylan says, every Maryland queer I know who knows of her advocacy has shining reviews. Her stuff offline has been great. The last thing I want is someone doing good work to be thrown off their work. As a queer, I think she does good work. I'm not sure if I like that necessarily. And Doe says, thanks for making your stance clear. I'm glad we can all be clear about our stances here. You just think it's cool to play defense for people who say buying human beings for sex is, quote, primarily about the buying. If that's who you want advocating for you, say it with your chest. And then it seems to end there. At least in this case, we're not really talking about going after one's job, right? We're just talking about one's suitability for a progressive board. I mean, at the very least, what a person does online is definitely relevant to their presence on such a board, is it not?
This was Demonmama. Gabby saying, I'm mainly a game streamer. I have people from Vaush, Dylan, even your community watch me. Do you think I'm a DGG parrot? Huge difference between saying your political takes are bad and shouldn't be platformed and trying to make sure someone never gets a job. Yes, based on your constant attempts to pick fights with me, you're constantly appearing only when drama around me shows up. And two, no one is saying Riley can't get a job at Best Buy, just that she probably shouldn't be a lawyer if she's going to sling false accusations everywhere. Ian also mentioned on stream, perhaps Riley shouldn't be a lawyer, the same time that everybody was trying to go after her job.
Your positions to you, and every time in chat you're like, well, that's not what I mean. Well, with respect, you shouldn't be a lawyer then, because clearly there's a huge disconnect between what you're thinking and what you say. I mean,
he wished his audience would have harassed Professor Flowers some more.
And slandered for it.
I feel like my main issue here, after all of this, is that you guys didn't go far enough in harassing a queer woman of color. I feel like you guys could have gone way harder with that, you know?
He's encouraged his community to harass a police officer having a mental breakdown on social media.
Really frightening.
This, I don't remember what this cop was crying about, but it was pretty clear she was having some kind of breakdown.
So I hope, and I encourage all of you to get on this, that we all make fun of her as aggressively as possible. And we make fun of everybody who is trying to turn this into some sort of victimized police narrative. The police, the most perpetually victimized. God, man. I wish I remember the details of this story. I wish I remember. Can somebody fill me in?
Are they that important, though?
Do you remember? It was a town in America.
Just try to imagine for 1 microsecond, if I ever was sicking my community on somebody like that, what the fallout would be. It would be unbelievable. Ian will be critical of views of mine and then copy the same view and pass it off as his own, sometimes just a few days later. I was critical of BLM after they defended Jussie Smollett, which I was mocked by Ian and many others for. Vaush was liking all sorts of tweets where I was saying, this hurts to say, but supporting BLM is getting harder and harder every day when this organization exists. Having to constantly say to conservatives, listen, BLM, the movement, BLM, the organization are totally different, always comes off sounding like a massive cope, ... This I had to say in response to BLM had come out, the organization, and supported Jussie Smollett, to which Vaush liked the tweets, oh dude, I'm so ready for this arc. Destiny is speedrunning the left wing of fascism. 3 days later, Vaush went on stream and spoke about how disgusting BLM was for defending Jussie Smollett. This is his video. BLM org disgustingly defends Jussie Smollett. Ian amplified others, making fun of me for saying that people would kill themselves if they lived for 7 days in my shoes. I tweeted out, you would kill yourself if you lived for 7 days in my shoes, 100% guaranteed, Limfeo. A statement that I still stand by. Vaush liking, funniest reply I've ever seen. Unknown to most, Destiny trapped himself inside a cock and ball torture device 10 years ago, and if he attempts to dismantle it, it will explode. Least reactionary debate streamer community, just people making fun of it. And then a few days later...
People will downplay this, man. People always downplay this, you know, like, oh, it's just, you know, it's just harassment, whatever, you deserve it, you know. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I can say with great confidence, you know, that the stuff that people like Lindsay Ellis, or God help us, myself, have to put up with, if experienced by an average person, no, actually, we'll be more specific. An average person on Twitter who's currently harassing Lindsay Ellis, they would kill themselves in 8 seconds.
A few days later, he said an average person on Twitter would kill themselves in 8 seconds if they had to deal with the harassment he does online. Ian attacked me for trying to test his conviction with a $25,000 bet on whether or not a trans genocide would start in the US in a few years after he said that we're on the precipice of a genocide.
The thing. Could you actually engage in a little peeking out the Fortress store and watch Destiny being Destiny with your segments? No. I don't really have an interest in succumbing to the latest attempt at getting my attention. I was browsing the subreddit and I saw this tweet from Lycan, as it were. Where is it? I just saw it while scrolling through earlier. Where, here it is, yeah. Where, you know, I'm assuming that he's not lying. Apparently, you can imagine him saying this. Can I try to do this in his voice? All right, buddy, how about this, huh? If you're so confident that a genocide of LGBT people will happen within the next 5 years, how about you put some money down on it, huh? $25,000 to your LGBT charity of choice if there ends up being a genocide of LGBT. if not, then you have to do 25. Right. Yeah, you get the, yeah. This seems like some dumb shit Jimmy Dore would do to get, like, Ilhan Omar's attention. Yeah, it's up there in terms of, like, attention grabbing or whatever. I wonder who would have taken a $25,000 bet as to whether or not Republicans would back an attempted coup on the U.S.
He laughs at the idea of a bet. A few days later,
because in a way, you just want the hats. You don't wear hats in fencing. You wear those mask guards. Vaush, you serious? No, I'm serious. Okay, here's the thing, okay? I feel like one thing that people don't get tested enough on is conviction, you know? So one way that you can test conviction is on gambling. Hey, if you believe this so much, then why don't you put money down on it? But it's not considered to be a very honorable or very socially acceptable way of resolving high-level disputes. Like if there are government officials that are saying X is going to happen, like say, for example, back in 2018 before the primaries, whether or not there would be a giant caravan of migrants coming up that Donald Trump then used the National Guard to defend against, you know? So it would be like, well, if you really think that's going to happen, why don't you put a bet in on it? But the thing is, people don't really do that. So what if instead, people who are in...
Ian is constantly amplifying and liking tweets that are attacking me or my wife after complaining about me going after people just for being in his community. So he says that I go after people that are just in his community. Here he is attacking, I think it's either me or my wife. And this is all just like, he likes so much shit on Twitter that's like attacking me and attacking my community constantly. This dude beefing through his wedding. When your VDS is so bad, you actually think that the pedophilia guy has logical arguments. DGG giving props to a pedophile, like all of this. I think these were things, and here attacking Melina. Oh yeah, this one. Destiny's wife liking tweets from neo-Nazi Lauren Southern about censorship over a transphobic tweet towards Keffels. Melina never liked the original transphobic tweet. She just liked this because she saw Lauren defending me on Twitter. That was literally it. She never liked any original transphobic tweet. I don't even think she knew what the original tweet was. Really funny that Destiny saw this tweet and didn't say anything about his wife tacitly agreeing that I am a man, but did quote tweet one of my followers in the replies. Yet his fans keep insisting that he's done more advocacy for trans people than I ever have. Melina is not transphobic at all. She never has been. Like, she's from Sweden. I don't even think they have transphobic people there. They probably do. But like, Ian complains that people view him as a boogeyman by spawning false narratives about his community while constantly doing the exact same thing to me by claiming that my community is full of evil people who defend pedophiles.
With regards to how these conversations typically go wrong, I do think a lot of it is a narrative-based thing. The issue is that a lot of people do view me as some kind of big, bad, scary antagonist, a person who's a representative of the rot in the online left, and also, because people constantly talk about this alleged harassment from my community, a person who mobilizes this massive wave of hate that people will get after, which, again, I've seen the comments under Professor Flower's video. There are people who are angry at her. I didn't see anything I would characterize as harassment, and her subs have gone up. So, you know, the industrial complex of anti-Vaushites, you know, continues to produce to this day.
Ian defended the idea that individual actors and systems could act as capitalists as they want because we're all slaves to the system. He said he would never criticize individual capitalist actors, only system.
We have people in legitimate positions of power as opposed to a bunch of college students and...
You understand that, like, with that mentality, you could never criticize Bezos again, though, right?
Well, I don't criticize Bezos. I
really?
Oh, okay, hold on. It's entirely possible that I've misspoke. Generally speaking, and I do hold to this, try to criticize the systems that allow people like Bezos to exist. Now, there have definitely been times where I've...
Well, really? I only found one example of this because I feel like that's such a ridiculous thing. But of course, he's making fun of people like Elon Musk or people like Bezos, saying that like, oh, you've got so much money. Like, couldn't you do other things? This tweeted over 75,000 likes, right? Making fun of Elon for not ending homelessness and hunger because he could just spend all the money apparently to do it. But Despite how critical Ian is now of me fighting with leftists and being spite-based, he had a decent understanding of my issues with leftists through 2019 and 2020.
Why do you think Destiny is so anti-left? Destiny has talked multiple times about why he's doing this. Destiny was a reactionary for a while, and he would make arguments like, oh, nobody should care about representation in media. Who cares what color the person you're watching is? We should all just like the media for its own merits. But then he realized that a bunch of fucking reactionary dipshits who actually fucking hate black people and women were taking his points and using them to further their own aims. Destiny felt betrayed by the right, who he felt hadn't standed by the principles that he was advocating for. So he got ass mad and started critiquing the right more, and that led him down the progressive route that he currently exists on. And during that progressive road, he took on quite a few alt-righters, did a whole bunch of damage to them and their credibility, and now he feels as though he's done the exact same thing for the left, where a bunch of leftists are like LARPing dipshits who have no idea how like political efficacy works, have no idea how to meaningfully improve society, but are just a bunch of LARPers who want to like kill all cops or whatever. So he feels as though he's been memed on in the exact same way, and he feels betrayed by it. It's that simple. I don't need anything from here. Do you think you'll get an opportunity to talk to Steve if I get unbanned from Twitch? I mean, I made a comic about it, so I hope so. Except the leftists don't lose credibility from any debates they engage in. I disagree. I think Non-Compete did pretty poorly. Michael Brooks has said some pretty dumb shit. The Serfs was good. The Serfs conversation was fine. Ben Burgess was in... He thinks renting is cheaper than owning a house. Renting is cheaper than owning a house unless you plan on living there for a really long time. Where can I find your comic? Just go on Twitter. It's somewhere there. The whole thing. All 23 pages.
That was a pretty good summary, actually.
How do you feel about the breadtubers who say the best way to deal with Destiny is not to engage with them? Ha! That's a good idea, because every single fucking time a breadtuber shows their face near Destiny, they get blown out. It looks really fucking embarrassing for leftism in general. Yeah, please, stay away. For your own sake. For all of our sakes, stay away. I can only handle so much more disappointment. There are some breadtubers who have developed versus Destiny. Ow! What was that lag? Oh. If there was
Ian makes fun of my community for pointing out tactics he uses to sound more serious, such as deepening his voice and changing his vocab, despite him admitting as much on stream before, and in earlier chat logs we saw.
It really is indistinguishable from a conservative community now. Wait, they do it unironically. The fake calm voice leaks condescension. That's true. More than usual, that is. It's very cringe once you notice all his little tactics, debate tactics memes, these little we've noticed all these sneaky maneuvers that Vaush engages in, like being calm and making people he talks to look bad by pointing out their face. Have you noticed how effortlessly Vaush alternates between inhaling and exhaling?
Gender is a collection of performative demonstrations, like social attributes that you use to identify yourself. Like, I'm a male. I'm male. I have a penis and I'm hairy and shit and XY. I assume I'm XY. There have been examples of like XYY or XXY, like male assigned people. I'm pretty sure I'm XY. And that's sex. But I wear boxers. I wear t-shirts. I guess I was about to say I don't grow my hair out long, but I don't wear makeup. I choose to keep my beard grown. I wear deliberately masculine clothing styles and hairstyles. I trained my voice to be this deep. You know, I trained myself to speak in this way. I code myself masculine. I act masculine.
I mean, he literally has admitted as much. Ian has been selectively critical of Me Too stuff when it doesn't serve his political interests as well. Sydney Watson called him out on Twitter, and his community responded in time. Sydney Watson, I'd just like to remind everyone that when Vaush found out I was sexually assaulted by a non-white man, he accused me of making it up. This is an objective lie. For anyone who actually cares about the truth, you should find the video she's referring to yourself. He never says any of the things she's saying he said in her tweet, but people don't actually care about the truth nowadays, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny because I'm over here.
You know what? Okay, I'm gonna... Here, wait, hold on. I should probably move my webcam down because I'm like blocking their faces. I've been doing it the whole video. I just want to say, do you think it maybe speaks a little bit to the fact that we have a rape culture when we put 6 people in a room together to talk about Me Too, and when they're like, hey, who of you have experienced sexual assault? And the 4 women sit down and they've all been raped and they all can barely choke out a coherent sentence. Like, do we think this perhaps maybe slightly speaks to the fact that there's a problem? Like, Me Too has gone too far. False allegations are ruining people's lives. Okay. Who among you have experienced sexual assault? And like every woman in the room starts crying. Like, almost every female friend I have has been the recipient of sexual assault or violence or rape or whatever at some point in their lives. Seriously, it's such a common thing. I think 1 in 4 is probably understating it significantly. I wouldn't be surprised if the rate for sexual assault on women over one's lifetime was as high as 1 in 3 or 1 in 2. We just don't know because nobody fucking reports, because reports aren't taken seriously. That's what Me Too is about.
You're like, I don't think things are on the same level, but things impact you in like bizarre ways. But yeah, like because the perpetrator wasn't white, and because he was like, I'm, you know, part of like a certain religion.
Wait, are we being real?
And the police were basically just like, we can't because of cultural differences, which I don't feel like is such a good.
What? Bullshit! Are you fucking kidding me? Did she turn her fucking rape confession onto how the rape fugees fucking Ahmed Muhammad raped her and the police were like, oh, we can't persecute brown people? Bullshit! Bullshit!
He self-admittedly engages in quite a bit of motivated reasoning. If I ever left a convo with a lefty and said, I know they're wrong, I just don't know why, lol, let's go find out why they're wrong, I would be crucified for it.
All right, we're on an unrelenting economic research arc until we find out why that guy was wrong. You can call me an ideologue if you want, but the idea that we've been doing all of this shit, all the imperialism for centuries, and it's like, oh, it was like nothing. I don't believe it.
Summary. My goal here is not to explicitly illustrate how horrible a political pundit I believe Ian to be. I think other people have done a good job at that. You've got the Doomer.
Hello, my friends. Have you?
Doomer Politics vid is one way. Wannabe Sad Boy in my subreddit has written up a pretty big effort post on it as well, because that's what he does. Instead, my desire is simply for people to understand how figures like Ian can contribute to such a horrendous misunderstanding of who I am, the positions I advocate for, or the things that I've done. I don't even necessarily blame Ian's fans for hating me, given the monster that Ian builds me up to be every single time he opens his mouth about me on stream. I just wish people would hold content creators to higher standards when it comes to illustrating the positions of our political rivals, and demand to at least see the original video or tweet being referenced. I'm also not saying that I'm correct or even acting virtuous in every interaction I have. There are times when I've said or done things that I shouldn't have, and I'll admit as much. For instance, I should not have called Chloe a pedophile, despite my discomfort with her talking to hundreds or thousands of minors on Discord about HRT, and despite her making rape jokes about my wife and I. I will not apologize, however, for calling all people who advocate for do-it-yourself HRT pedophiles, because I have never done such a thing. Same as with Doe. Perhaps it's not my place to speculate on the validity of her suicide attempt, but I will not apologize for mocking all of trans suicidality because I simply have not done such a thing. The end. I hope this was as agonizing to listen to as it was for me to write. DGGL. I wish it need not have happened in my time, said Frodo. So do I, said Gandalf, and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what we do with the time that is given to us. From J.R.R. Tolkien, the book, The Fellowship of the Ring. I'm incredibly lucky to do what I do. I've been blessed with the opportunity to learn new things, play more video games than any human should be allowed to, provide financially for myself, my child, employ talented and wonderful people, pursue dreams I didn't even know I could have, travel to more parts of the world than I ever thought I'd see, engage with wonderful people from around the world, meet new friends, lovers, co-workers, enemies, fans, and haters alike. Despite the cost, I would never choose to step back into the life I've lived before this, and yet the cost is great. I feel sometimes there is no recognition of this. Rather, people think me to be a monster wandering the internet, looking for communities to terrorize. This is not the case. I believe the vast majority of the things posted about me on the internet are lies, and I believe people undercount the good I do in both my personal and public life. I don't wish for people to like me or even respect me. I simply wish that those people that hate me at least hate me for things I've actually said or done, and weren't only spurred on by the rantings and ravings of bad political actors online looking to animate an audience from the rubble of my reputation. I hope this document served to correct the record and establish, with good foundation, my beliefs regarding some of the more controversial topics and positions that have sprung up over the past couple of years. I'm sure it will be a continual battle to fight against mischaracterizations against me, especially as my opinions continue to mature through time. I appreciate everyone who stood by me. I hope I can continue to at least aspire towards the ideals I've set for myself, and I'm excited for the projects and adventures awaiting me. Jesus, fuck. What a ride. Never again. Everything about my stream would be significantly worse if it weren't for the tireless dedication of the people who work for and with me. In no particular order, RTBA, the bear, security, moderation, and a million other things. Cake, master website maintainer, and chief puts out fires guy. Jader Vernanda, a mysterious, the actual developer guy. Linus Red, the other actual developer, chatbot maintainer. Forethought, chief subreddit janitor. Ninu, email manager, master unbanner, and merch deliverer. August, actual YouTube editor, God on Earth. Lemmy Winks and Ken Dolly, the old guard Twitch mods. Auntie, George, Mike Com, Free, Andrea, Polecat, Not Diced, Bogboy, Amelie, and Zolus. And there's probably more too that I missed too for my thankless Discord moderators. And Cinza and Stanpet, the two who originally, really for no compensation, originally built out Destiny GG, got the whole project and chat started back in 2013.